A service of KIBMradio.com, the Internet's home for an all old-time radio.
Jerry, at Fair Oaks.
Better steer around to the west side of the island, Lee. There's a little inlet there that you can pull into.
Yes, sir, I know.
Hey, I haven't seen any smoke since we left the mainland. Say, you don't think it might be a fire?
Well, where there's smoke, there's fire.
That's true.
Hey there, lad. Port the helm. You're running afoul of shallow water here.
Hey, I thought you were a soldier, Corporal Dent, not a sailor.
Well, Jerry, in my time, a man who was soldiering had to know a little of everything. No telling what he might get into. Nowadays, they got everything specialized. No chance to let a man use his brain. All right, Lee, swing around and cut the engine. We'll beat you right at the little inlet.
Yes, sir.
That does it. That's fine. All right, hop out, Jerry, and make her fast.
Yeah, okay. There's a tree right here we can tie onto.
Well, tie her up tight, Jerry. We can't have the boat drifting away.
Yeah, it's done. Come on.
Now, easy there, Lee.
All right, let's go.
Oh. Hey, wait a minute. Hey, we're not the only boat that's been tied up here. Look here, lads.
What's the matter?
Look here, marks of another boat. See them there on the sand?
Gee, they sure look like it.
They are. About as fresh as if they was made last night. See here, here's another place.
Yeah, and look here, footprints. You're right, Corporal Dent. There has been someone here. Yeah, not long ago.
Wonder if he's still in the shack.
I don't think so. He'd have to use a boat to get off the island, and the boat's gone.
It's true enough, Jerry, but maybe... Well, let's give a hello and find out, huh? Here goes. Hello!
No answer.
Come on, let's go.
Here. I'm in command, being ranking officer. Take it easy like now. Ain't no use rushing off into a place not knowing what's ahead. Say, if you tried that in the Philippines in my day, you'd find yourself in a pretty bad hole. So easy does it. I'll lead the detail. All right. Forward.
Doesn't seem like anybody's here.
You never can tell, Jerry. Many an ambush has been successful because those caught in it thought they were safe. Oh, there's the shack.
Yeah, nobody's around.
Hold off a minute, lad.
Say, the door's open.
So it is. All right, I guess we're safe for a little foray. Walk a little faster, lads.
Halt! Holy smoke, I nearly jumped out of my skin.
What do you see, Corporal Dent?
Right there. Take a look at that tree.
Why, some of the little branches have been cut off.
That's right, Lee. Take a closer look at them. Look here, lads. Somebody's hacked off a few of the small branches with a knife. It ain't so long time ago, neither. Sap ain't had time to heal the cuts.
Say, you're a woodsman, too.
Oh, pish tosh, Jerry. That's something everybody with even a little mite of sense would know. Now, whoever was in this cabin certainly was a greener, a rookie. Didn't have no better sense than to try to use green wood for a fire. Well, come on. Let's look inside.
Yeah, okay, let's go.
Now, easy there, Jerry. I'm still leading the detail. Oh, I'll peek in. You lads keep back till I give you the come-ahead. You keep your noses right here. Like as not, it's safe, but we can't take any chances.
I think he's making more of this than is necessary.
He likes to do it.
He's a lot of fun.
And I think he knows he's kidding us.
All right, lads, come on. All's clear.
Okay, we're coming.
Well, not a soul here. Whoever our bird was, he flew all right.
Oh, there's an answer to your fire and smoke, Jerry. Green wood in the fireplace.
Yeah, the rookie didn't know it'd smolder for a long time.
Yeah, I get it. Every once in a while, it would sort of flare up and smoke would come from it.
Yep, that's the answer. Like as not, it was somebody who didn't have no place else to sleep.
But he had something to eat. Look here.
Huh? Oh, there's something left in the paper. Well, maybe he didn't have no place to sleep, but he didn't skimp himself when it came to eating. Part of a steak left, and a good one, best cut.
How do you know?
Listen, Lee, a man what's done his own cooking nigh on to 25 years should know which cut of a steak is the best. Yes, sir. Whoever this was, he gave himself good rations.
Hey, look what I found.
What is it, Jerry?
Look, a gold pencil.
Oh, a good one, too. A cheap pencil, lad. Here, let me see, Jerry.
Yeah, here you are.
Yeah. Oh, good gold, and solid, too.
Say, are there any initials on it?
No, nary a thing. Just a plain gold pencil. Well, that's funny.
Funny? What do you mean? I guess he just forgot it. Or maybe it fell out of his pocket.
Well, I don't mean the reason for him leaving it here, Jerry. I'm thinking about what kind of a person would have a pencil like this.
Well, anybody might have one.
Now, I don't know about that, Lee.
Oh, gee, I think you're kidding us, Corporal Dan. The way we crept through the clearing to get here and all of that.
Well, I will give you that, lads. Corporal Dent was having a bit of fun with you there, but... No, sir, I'm serious now. Because something just struck me like a steel-jacketed bullet.
You're not kidding us again?
No, ain't, Lee. Not a bit of it this time.
Then what do you mean?
Ever read detective stories, lad?
Oh, sure.
Well, let's be detectives for a minute. Now, we thought that anybody who'd stay in this shack would be looking for a place to sleep. Is that right?
Sure.
Maybe a hobo.
Yeah, now, if he was looking for a place to sleep, it stands to reason that he wouldn't have any money to spend for a hotel.
No, that's right.
Sure, it's right. I said it. Now, all right, so far so good, lads. Let's just go a little further now. It stands to reason that anybody having a gold pencil that looks as expensive as this one could be affording to stay in a hotel. He wouldn't have to stay in an old broken-down shack all night, nohow. And he wouldn't have to be cooking his own meals. Now, how's that?
Well,
what's the matter? Don't you follow it?
yeah, I follow it all right.
I'm not so sure about it either, Corporal Dan.
Not so sure about it? Why, it's as plain as the nose on your face.
Well, it sounds good, but there's one thing wrong. Maybe the pencil was some sort of a keepsake. Maybe whoever stayed here was keeping it.
Yeah, sure. And, didn't want to sell it to get money.
No, don't think so. Ain't no initials on the pencil. Anybody that gives a pencil like this puts initials on it. I don't think it's keepsake.
Oh, gee, I think you're kidding us again, Corporal Dan.
And I'm telling you I ain't. Old pencils and hobos just don't jive together. They don't fit in.
Oh, you've been reading detective stories, Corporal Dan.
I ain't. I'm just using my head. I'm telling you, lads, that I ain't got nigh on to 50 years of army behind me for nothing, and some years of 'em spent in Indian country where every mark meant something to a smart scout. No, sir, Bob.
Well, suppose it was somebody like you said, a man who could afford to spend the night in the Fair Oaks Hotel but didn't. A man who could afford to buy the best meat like you said. Well, what then?
Then, lads, we ask why.
Why what?
Oh, tarnation, Lee, I got to point out everything. Ain't you got no imagination of your own? What do they teach you young lads nowadays? They give you everything in books and nothing in the head. Now think, lads, think.
Hey, wait, I'm beginning to see.
Yeah, so am I.
You mean, why should he spend the night here?
I'll bet my hat, my best one, that he was up to no good.
You sure do make it sound real.
Yeah, I'm beginning to believe you, Corporal Dan.
About time.
Maybe he was hiding.
From what?
Well, that's something else again. But I'll bet anything that he was a-hiding from something or somebody.
But this is a funny place to hide. Whoever it was might have known that he was going to be found out. You can't just hide in the middle of a lake that's surrounded by people that'd be bound to catch sight of you.
Jerry's right, Corporal Ben.
Sure, he's right. And that gives me all the more reason for believing that something's up.
Oh, yeah. I bet you're right.
Certainly sounds that way.
Lads, we're going back to my cabin and telephone.
Have you got a telephone?
Yes, I have, but don't you go spreading that all around. I just keep it there for emergencies. You never can tell what's coming up.
Why telephone? I mean now.
Well, I ain't had so much fun in a long time. Might be that we're just barking up a bare tree, lads, but Well, anyway, we're having fun of doing it.
Yeah, but why are you going to telephone?
Why? Well, I'm going to call Will Edwards, the butcher, and I'm going to ask him if a stranger in town bought a best cut of steak yesterday. Come on, lad.
Jerry, maybe you shouldn't have picked up that statuette.
Well, I did pick it up, and if this isn't an adventure, Corporal Dan is sure making it seem like one.
Well, let's go.
Yes, all right. Come on. Jerry. Say, what are you doing, Jerry?
Oh, I'm just looking in this wood box.
Huh?
Some newspapers in here.
Oh, come on, Jerry. Come on. Ain't no time to be rummaging through trash. Come on, get a move on.
Hey, wait a minute, wait.
Say, what's so interesting about old newspapers?
Nothing interesting in old ones, but there is something in new ones.
Oh, so our mysterious man left newspapers behind, eh?
Uh-huh. Looky here. See? This isn't a Fair Oaks paper.
Ain't, huh? Well, here, let me look at it. Where do I get my glasses on here? There, now, let me see. Yeah, you're right. Tain't a Fair Oaks paper. See the town. Oh, paper's folded around. Yes, here's the town's name. Say, this is kind of interesting. You know, this paper come from Wardville. Uh-huh.
Wardville?
Yeah, that's a town about 150 miles from here, isn't it, Corporal?
That's right. Big town, about 3 times the size of Fair Oaks.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh. Well, we'll just keep this. Say, look at here.
What now?
Look at this little sticker fastened to the top of this page.
What kind of a sticker?
Well, it says, the Central and Northern Railroad wishes you good morning. This paper is placed on your dining car table as another added service of the C&N route. Well.
Say, looks as though you were right, Corporal Dan. Anyone who travels on a sleeping car certainly wouldn't be a hobo.
Well, how do you know he did travel on a sleeping car?
Oh, he's right, Jerry. This sticker says good morning. That means he ate breakfast in a dining car, so he must have been on the train at night. Huh.
Hey, wait a minute. Turn back to the front page. I thought I saw something.
Oh, it is. Oh, yes, there you are. What'd you see?
Look, Lee. Look at the headlines.
Government continues investigation of bomber crash. Guy Linwell on road to recovery as son visits him.
Linwell. He's that aviator fellow, ain't he?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. His son Harold is a cadet at Fair Oaks.
And let's see what else it says.
Yeah, read it.
Wait a minute, I'm trying to find it. Let's see, now the headline goes over this way and...
Well, come on. Give me the paper. I'll read it.
Hurry up.
Well, wait a minute. Give me a chance, will you? I don't think anybody's going to read the story in this paper.
What are you talking about, lad? Come on.
Well, look. Take a look for yourself, Jerry.
Huh?
Look, Corporal Dan.
Let me see. Well, now, this is getting better all the time. You know, I admit I was just doing a bit of kidding before, making something mysterious like, but now this...
The story about Harold's dad is cut right out of the front page.
By somebody who was in this cabin, who didn't want to be seen by anybody.
And who was pretty interested in Harold's dad. But why would he come to Fair Oaks? Harold's dad isn't here.
No, Harold's dad ain't, and neither is Harold.
Huh? What do you mean?
Never mind, lads. Something tells me that this thing has kind of grown beyond a little fun. Come on. We're going to see the Major at the school.
Pepsi-Cola, P-E-P-S-I. That's your smartest cola buy. Pepsi-Cola presents Counterspy.
Washington calling David Harding, Counterspy. Washington calling David Harding, Counterspy.
Harding, Counterspy, calling Washington.
United States Counterspies, especially appointed to investigate and combat the enemies in our country, both at home and abroad.
Tonight, the case of the hot car killer. Another Counterspy report to the American people. Brought to you each Tuesday and Thursday by Pepsi-Cola.
Pepsi-Cola, hits the spot. 2 full glasses, that's a lot.
That's right, you heard what they said. 2 full glasses of sparkling Pepsi from one big 12-ounce bottle. You're getting an extra glassful. And what a delicious glassful. The most refreshing, delightful cola that ever tickled your taste. You can't top Pepsi's tangy flavor. And that big, big bottle saves you money, goes twice as far. Pepsi's America's big, big favorite. And America's biggest cola value. So why take less when Pepsi is best? Whenever you reach for refreshment, remember,
Why take less when Pepsi's best?
And now to Counterspy. A bright, brisk fall afternoon. Around the dirt track roar a dozen low-slung racing cars. Sudden death, an added passenger in every one. Axles brush on the straightaways, tires scream as they skid on turns, then straighten out again. A man wearing the armband of an official of the track runs to the pit of car number 18.
Hey, you! Yeah? Are you the mechanic of car 18, driver Joe Stacy?
What's the matter?
This is an official order. Flag him down.
Call him out. He's like the wind.
I said stop him. Now, he's just coming in the straightway. Here's your flag. Use it.
Okay. Here he comes. What's the idea of holding me in?
Stacy, this track will not tolerate dangerous, irresponsible drivers like you. We are hereby forbidding you to finish this race. And we're going to see to it that you're barred from every other track in the country. Now get yourself and your car out of here in a hurry.
Holy smoke, Joe. What are you going to do now?
No problem, Mitch. Back in New York, my future's all taken care of. I got a wonderful, beautiful connection there. Red hair.
Hello?
Hello, honey. Joe Stacy. I'm calling you from Chicago.
Joe, darling, as if I didn't know. You coming to New York?
I got her, Laura. I've been bounced off the tracks for good.
Oh, Joe.
After I take a good long look at you, I'm going to need eating money. You got any ideas?
Sure, Joe. I'm a business career woman now.
What?
I'm a secretary. Private secretary to a corporation. The corporation is 5'8", 150 pounds with gray hair and a big fat bank account.
So how do I fit in?
Leave that to me, Joe. I'll get you a job with my corporation. I'm going over to his apartment now. Joe, it's a penthouse with overstuffed chairs, soft as marshmallows, and a view of New York. There's only one real trouble with the job. He keeps playing a certain phonograph record again and again and again.
Laura, you've been staring out of that window for an hour.
The view always fascinates me, Mr. Brewster.
Maybe you'd rather be down there among those lights with some younger man. Like the one you asked me to hire?
I'm your secretary, Mr. Brewster. Besides, young men bore me. To be with or to work for.
Well, how lucky for me. I should hate losing you as a secretary.
You will, Mr. Brewster, if you don't stop that phonograph sometime.
Very well. I play that music constantly, Laura, because the orchestra was playing it the night you and I first met. Haven't you any such memories? With Joe Stacy, for instance?
I live in the present, not the past. Mr. Brewster, the warning buzzer. Someone's coming up in the elevator.
Suppose you let them up for me just this once, huh?
I don't know how.
On my desk there,
Yes?
the first button is the intercom to the elevator. Press it. That stops the warning buzzer. Now you can talk to whoever's in the elevator while it's held on the floor below. That intercom box on the left.
Yes. Yes? Who is it?
George Lesage. Mr. Brewster's expecting me.
Oh, yes, Lesage. We're bringing you up. Now what, Mr. Brewster?
The button on the right starts the elevator again to bring him here to the top floor.
I see. Why is that junk dealer coming here?
Because he and I have a little surprise for you. Come in, Lesage.
Evening, Mr. Brewster. Hello, Miss Montclair.
Hello.
Yeah, I brought the latest batch of papers for you, Mr. Brewster.
All in good order?
Yep, ownership papers of 6 total wrecks I bought in from my junkyard. 2 Buicks, a Chevy, a Ford, 2 Pontiacs, all from the West.
Well, all plentiful models and relatively easy to steal. Fine.
As soon as the cars come in, I can turn them over to you and your used car salesman. Say in a week, huh?
Mr. Brewster, I think it's dangerous to mix all those stolen cars with your ordinary used cars in your sales room.
Hey, that's the laugh, Miss Montclair. The smartest cover-up that was ever in this racket. Hot cars cooled off. Okay, Mr. Brewster, that cleans me up here. I'm on my way.
Lesage, instead of your going to the ferry now, you go to your garage and wait there. I'll keep that appointment.
Ah, okay.
Laura, the elevator release button, please.
Good night, Miss Montclair.
Good night.
Good night.
Mr. Brewster, you didn't tell me the surprise you and Lesage had for me.
I've decided to take your childhood friend, Joe Stacy, into my organization. Bring in stolen cars from other cities.
Oh. Oh, then he's the one who's coming in on the ferry. And instead of Lesage, you're going to meet him yourself, is that it?
I'm curious about him, Laura. An old friend who so fortunately turned out to be an expert car thief and driver. Now tell me, what's the quickest way for me to get to that ferry?
Well, mister, you got a light?
I think so. Stacy?
Yeah, Lesage.
No. I'm Andrew Brewster.
The boss himself, huh?
You the car?
Second in line.
You were instructed to be first.
A truck cut out in front of me.
I thought you were a former racing driver.
Lay off, Brewster.
Oh, yes. Laura Montclair said you were touchy about having been ruled off the track.
Well, I am.
You'll find we'll get along if you carry out instructions, Stacy.
And if you don't shoot your mouth off.
When you leave the ferry, drive to the garage at 816 East 28th Street. Pick up Lesage. Proceed to his junkyard in New Jersey.
Okay. What's Lesage look like?
Oh, about your height. With an untidy black mustache.
When do I see you again, Brewster?
This will be our only meeting.
Why this one?
Laura talks so highly of you. I wonder why.
Curious, Brewster? Or jealous?
As you so picturesquely put it, Stacy, lay off. I'm a trifle touchy myself. Goodbye, Stacy.
Hello?
Miss Montclair. Lesage talking. Give me Brewster.
He hasn't returned from his ferry trip.
Listen, I went back to my garage like Brewster told me and found my assistant hired a new guy. And I spotted him for a cop.
What?
I cleared out to make this call. The cop is there now, and you gotta head Joe Stacy off. Can you do it?
No, I can't. It's too late. He must be at the garage right now.
right, you. Come on out of that car.
You, Lesage?
Yeah. Come on out of that car. Come on.
There's your mustache, Lesage.
Never mind that. Come out.
Not a chance, copper. This is for you.
David Harding to Harry Peters. Meet me at airport in exactly half an hour. We're flying to New York. Peters, you saw the message about the murder of Detective Jerry Winters.
Yes, Dave. I didn't know what to make of it.
Read this letter, Peters. Winters' division chief teletyped it in.
Dear Chief, I'm scribbling this in a hurry in a cheap boarding house since I may not get a chance to write again. I've made a connection that may get me a job in a garage. That's a transfer point for that interstate stolen car racket we're investigating with the Counterspies. I'll know details tonight and will report. Signed, Jerry Winters. When'd you get this, Dave?
This morning, right after the notice from New York of his murder. He must have gotten the job.
Then been covered so closely he couldn't even make a phone call.
Yes. The New York police are covering every angle they can hit. The first thing we'll do is fine-tooth comb that garage.
Dave, I've been interviewing all the employees of this garage. They all swear that if there was anything crooked going on here, they didn't know a thing about it.
How about the owner?
His name is George Lesage, but they say they rarely see him, and nobody knows where he might be right now. How are you making out?
Well, I've been working with the examination crew. Take a look at this concrete pillar, Peter.
The concrete gouged out about 2 feet up from the floor. Looks as if a car cracked into it.
Yes, one of the employees I talked to earlier said it must have happened during the night.
And how does that help us?
Well, take a look at it through this pocket magnifier.
Flecks of paint. 2 colors.
Benson of the examination crew says some of the flecks are of brown paint over a year old.
And these other flecks of light blue paint for the top coat of a freshly repainted car.
And that's one of the first steps of an efficient hot car outfit, Peters, to give the stolen cars a quick repaint. Somewhere there's a car with a dented fender, brown paint underneath, blue paint over it. I want to put out a fast bulletin and find that car.
Mr. Brewster, I'm waiting for you and Lesage to tell me how you're going to help Joe Stacy.
Miss Montclair, Stacy's safe in my junkyard over in Jersey.
Besides, Laura, he sounds like a man who helps himself.
I introduced him to you, Mr. Brewster. He killed a detective to protect your racket. You've got to help him.
On his account?
On yours. And mine.
I wonder if I can afford to have a cop killer in my organization.
What are you getting at?
Lesage, remember what happened to Whitey? Driving along a mountain road, his car went over the side of a cliff. Accidentally. Laura.
I won't help you, Mr. Brewster.
Laura, my dear, Stacy knows and trusts you. You're going to invite him for a ride with Lesage tomorrow. You brought him into our organization. It's only fitting that you help him leave it.
mountain roads are tricky.
Quit worrying, Lesage.
But you had a few drinks.
Listen, I can drive with my eyes shut.
Maybe, Joe, but I wouldn't like to be with you when you try it. Why don't we pull over for a while?
Anything you say, baby.
What a wonderful view. Doesn't that train look small from up here? Like a toy.
You know, a guy could go over this cliff easy in a car. That wooden rail wouldn't hold a weak flea.
You're some kidder, Joe.
Put up your hands, Lesage.
What is this?
It means you're going to have the accident that you and Brewster cooked up for me.
Oh, you're double-crossing Brewster, and he's stuck on you.
I'm not stuck on him, Lesage. I take his nonsense now so I can take a lot of his money later. All right, Joe.
Listen, give me a chance. Give me a break.
Give it to him, Joe.
No.
Quick, Joe. Put your identification papers in his pocket.
Okay, baby.
Be sure you get everything that identifies him as George Lesage.
Papers. Wristwatch. Wallet. Picture of a kid.
Never mind that. Pour the whiskey over his clothes.
Smell like a saloon.
Hurry, he's coming too. Start the engine. Can you get the car over the cliff alone? I don't want my fingerprints on it.
What about mine?
The more prints there are of you, the sure the police will be it was you that crashed.
Okay, baby. Now you get out.
Be careful, Joe.
I'll start her into a skid. I'm good at that. Then jump.
Keep that door open.
Right.
Hurry before another car comes along.
Take it easy, baby.
Jump, Joe!
Coming. Here she goes.
In just a moment, we'll return to Counterspy, brought to you by Pepsi-Cola.
Pepsi-Cola hits the spot. 2 full glasses, that's a lot. Lots more value, lots more zest. Why take less when Pepsi's best?
More and more, among fellows and girls, among mothers and dads, you hear that sane and sensible question. Why take less when Pepsi is best? No budget, no allowance ever had a better friend than tangy, sparkling Pepsi-Cola. Because one big 12-ounce Pepsi bottle gives you 2 delicious drinks. That's twice as much tangy taste. Twice as much delicious Pepsi to go just twice as far. That's why more and more families say, why take less when Pepsi's best? Yes, families like yours and mine. Families all over America. They're all saying, why take less when Pepsi is best?
Pepsi-Cola hits the spot. Tastes terrific when you're hot. More and better than the rest. Why take less when Pepsi's best?
Today, tomorrow, always. Get America's biggest cola value. Take home a carton of 6 big Pepsi bottles. Insist on Pepsi at the store. And say Pepsi at the fountain. Say Pepsi at the stand. Say Pepsi. Whenever you reach for refreshment, remember,
why take less when Pepsi's best?
Now, back to Counterspy.
Routine report to Statistical Department, Washington. Received from State Police, New Jersey at Counterspy, New York field office. Fatal car crash off Highway 6A. Car identified as having been stolen 4 days ago in Baltimore, Maryland. Relay this bulletin to David Harding, now in New York. Filed copy of instructions. Harding to Peters. Check on that stolen car and Highway 6A accident. Peters reporting to Harding. Wreck almost complete, but left fender shows dent corresponding to gash and concrete pillar in Lesage garage. Undercoat of paint brown. Outer coat
interested in the bright lights down there, Laura?
There's a ghost dancing among them now, Mr. Brewster.
I know it was difficult for you, Laura. But it was Stacy or me. I had no choice.
Neither did I. As you so often said yourself, we're in a tough racket, aren't we?
Dave, Washington reported yet on Joe Stacy?
Yes, but the fingerprints on the body in that smashed car were not those of Joe Stacy.
Who then?
George Lesage.
Lesage? Well, that's the man we were looking for. He owned the garage where Detective Winters was murdered.
That's right, murdered by Joe Stacy.
Stacy, how do you figure?
Well, somebody took a great deal of trouble to make us think Stacy was dead, and that would suit Stacy very well. Besides, look at his record.
Racing driver ruled off the tracks for dangerous and crooked driving. Hold-up charge, suspended sentence, assaulting an officer 30 days. A bad boy.
Yes, but it's hardly probable a hothead like Stacy is the boss of the entire racket, nor that Lesage was. We're looking for the top man, Peters, and Stacy might lead you to him.
Lead me to him?
You're going undercover, Peters, to locate Stacy. Then we can set a trap.
Joe, I'm worried.
Well, what about, baby?
I don't think it's safe for us to meet in such a public place.
I got this tablet in my pocket. Besides, this new mustache is sprouting. The papers are full of pictures of the wreck. I got killed 2 days ago, remember?
Joe Brewster will be wanting to see Lesage soon, and then there are the other men.
Hey, Bud.
Yeah, Marty.
Pete Williams in the back room. He says you expect him.
Yeah, that's right. Thanks, Marty.
Joe. Who's Pete Williams?
It was the guy I met last night right here. At the bar, he started shooting off his mouth about racing drivers. We got in a little argument. It turns out to be an all right guy. He's in the same racket.
You sure he's all right?
Yeah, he knows a lot of the same people I do out in KC. You go on over to Brewster's apartment, baby. I'll call you later, huh?
Okay. So long, honey.
Hello, Pete. What goes?
I got a tip for a guy.
What guy?
Guy named Joe Stacy.
Joe Stacy's dead. I read it in the papers.
If he isn't already, maybe he's gonna be.
What's the tip?
The finger's getting put on him.
By?
His boss.
For what?
Tip I got says the boss already figured out it wasn't Joe Stacy in that wreck, but a bird named George Lesage. And he figures it was Stacy that did it.
How do you know?
That boss has been trying to contact a couple of triggermen from Chicago.
Why are you telling me?
I hate hot tips to go to waste.
Where can I reach you later? Say in about an hour.
Tell me where you want me to be.
What's the matter with here?
What do you do, phone me?
I'll come back and get you. Keep sober, Pete.
Sure.
Hello, honey, it's Joe. Listen, you were right to be leery of that guy Pete Williams who tried to caper on me.
What caper?
Well, he tells me Brewster caught onto the wreck business. He's out hiring guys to take care of me. What a jerk, huh?
Jerk? How do you figure?
Well, honey, if Brewster caught on already, you'd know about it, wouldn't you? Well, wouldn't you?
I've been thinking, Joe. I've got a scheme for us to get rid of Brewster, get some dough, and take care of your friend Pete. Tonight, all at once.
Dave, Peters, I've landed Stacy.
Good work. Did he reveal who the boss is?
No, but he's pulling me in on his scheme of revenge on the boss. We're going to hold him up. Then Stacy plans to kill him.
Well, I'll be close behind you with one of our mobile squads. We'll break it up in time.
Well, it may not be easy, Dave. The boss lives in a penthouse and has some tricky system to control the elevator. Stacy's girlfriend is going to double-cross the boss and let us in.
Then you'll have to find some way of letting us in. When's the job set for?
11 o'clock tonight.
What time was that, Mr. Brewster?
11. You seem restless, Laura. Bored with your job?
Mr. Brewster, believe me, I was never less bored with it.
Someone's in the elevator. I'm not expecting anyone. I'll find out who it is.
Brewster, stay away from that intercom.
Laura, what's the meaning of that gun?
Push the power button.
Laura...
Push that power button.
As you say.
Sit down by the desk.
Laura, what is the meaning of this?
Shut up!
Hello, Brewster.
Stacy.
In the flesh.
I thought you were dead. Laura told
Cut
me.
the act, Brewster. I know about the hood you were trying to get to rub me out.
Rub you out? I tell you, I thought you were dead.
You're lying, Brewster.
Stacy, who is this other man?
Pete Williams. The guy who put the finger on you for putting the finger on me.
Oh, this man is tricking you, I swear.
Listen, Brewster.
Wait. Maybe Brewster's telling the truth. Maybe Pete is. That's what we're going to find out. Meantime, I'm holding the gun. Pete.
Yeah?
In the right-hand drawer of the desk, the combination of the safe.
Okay.
Safe?
Yeah, Brewster, we're taking a little trip. Joe's staying here.
Laura, you can't leave me for this cheap thug. Quiet.
All right, what's the combination?
Take it, Joe. Open the safe.
Where is it?
Behind that picture over there on the wall.
Okay.
Now I can turn that music off for good.
Laura, what's that?
The buzzer. Someone's in the elevator.
Look out, Brewster's going for the button.
Pete, I gotta shoot. Get out of the way.
I'll get him.
Two ladies pushed it. The elevator's coming. Laura, how do we get out?
Back exit to the roof. Come on, Pete, you too.
Now, don't be suckers and run. How do you know who it is? What?
He's right, Joe. We'll play innocent. Whoever it is, we invite him. And we put him to sleep.
Good girl. Put away your gun, Laura.
Yeah. You, Joe, get by the elevator.
Right. Now, hold everything.
There's nobody in the elevator.
It's a trick.
Hold everything, all of you. Counterspy. Don't move or we shoot.
What?
All right, boys. Cover every door and window. Okay, boys. All right, Peter?
Yes, Mr. Harding. But I wish I'd known you were coming in from the terrace.
Looks like a good haul you made.
This is Joe Stacy, murderer. About ready to have a stroke.
You lousy
Joe, shut up.
And this, I take it, is the girlfriend.
Not yours, cop. Take your hands off me.
Gladly, after I get these handcuffs on you.
Here, out cold behind the desk, Mr. Harding, the big fish. Andrew Brewster. Used car dealer and hot car racketeer.
Peter, he looks so peaceful, I almost hate to wake him up and give him all the bad news he's got coming to him. But on second thought, I think it'll be a real pleasure. Let's get to it, Peter.
When your friends drop in, be generous, but be thrifty, too. Serve plenty of delicious Pepsi-Cola. Pepsi's big 12-ounce bottle gives you not just one sparkling glassful, but two. Get a carton of 6 and serve 12 delicious drinks. Yes, Pepsi is America's biggest cola value. You get twice the tangy taste, twice the refreshment, twice the Pepsi. So why take less when Pepsi is best? Whenever you reach for refreshment, remember,
Pepsi-Cola, it's the spot. 2 full glasses, that's a lot. Lots more value, lots more zest. Why take less when Pepsi's best?
Tune in every Tuesday and Thursday, same time, same station, to Counterspy. Listen next Tuesday for the exciting Counterspy case of the Postal Pirates.
The little black box that caught the revolver in midair. The one-fingered typist who punctuated sentences with bullets. And the double-crosser who tasted her own medicine and died as a result.
Case of the Postal Pirates on Counterspy. Tonight's Counterspy program originated in New York, was directed by William M. Sweets, and featured Don McLaughlin and Mandel Kramer, with music by Jesse Crawford. Counterspy is a Phillips H. Lord production for Pepsi-Cola. Enjoy some Pepsi ice cold tonight.
A startled corpse, a blue-eyed woman, and a cryptic message scrawled by a dying man, with the pieces of a Chinese puzzle that wouldn't fit together, until I found out what was deadly about the orange dog.
From the pen of Raymond Chandler, outstanding author of crime fiction, comes his most famous character as CBS presents The Adventures of Philip Marlowe. And now, with Gerald Moore, starred as Philip Marlowe, we bring you tonight's exciting story, The Orange Dog.
By 6 in the evening of a very slow day, I'd resigned myself to the business of no business. So I took my feet down from my desk, switched off the lights, and started out the door for home with the prospect of a nice, quiet evening ahead of me. But I didn't make it, even as far as the door. Oh. Hello, Philip Marlowe.
Marlowe, my name is Shelley Martin. I'm at 8412 Los Feliz, a private residence. I want you to come out here right away. My sister is in a jam, a nasty one.
Well, Miss Martin, as a matter of fact, I was just closing up for the night.
Look, I need the services of a private detective right now this minute, and I'm prepared to pay for them. There are plenty of others in town. Are you coming or not?
Yeah, okay, and thanks for the reminder. That's me you hear sprinting up your front walk.
That's much better. And Marlowe, bring your brains along. You're going to need them.
And that was the end of my quiet evening. But I just couldn't resist those government engravings of Mr. Lincoln. So I drove down to Weston, turned off on Los Feliz, and found the number 8412. The yard was an overgrown tangle of perennial plants losing their battle with the weeds. It was like a girl in a strapless evening gown with her hair up in curlers. However, I could see a light through the Venetian blinds, and the doorbell worked, with a resonant two-tone chime that caused the door to open just far enough to allow a pair of eyes so blue they were almost purple to peek out at me.
Yes, what is it?
I'm delivering that private detective you ordered.
Oh, Marlowe, come in.
Thanks.
Sit down, won't you?
Thanks again. All right, what's the next move?
It's about my kid sister.
Mm-hmm.
She's involved with a man named Lou Horner, a San Francisco broker. She's quite deeply involved, I'm afraid.
Oh?
You see, some very strange things are going on, Marlowe, and my sister is a naive kid caught right in the middle of them.
Yeah, I see. What sort of strange things, Miss Martin?
Shelley.
Sweet.
Well, to begin with, when I arrived from San Francisco today, my sister called me and asked me to meet her here in this house. When I got here, the lights were on, the radio was playing, and the front door was open. But the place was deserted.
Whose house is it, Horner's?
No, I think she said it belongs to a friend of his who's in Europe now. This Horner person uses it when he's in Los Angeles.
Well, couldn't they have stepped out for a while?
Mm-mm.
You know, you don't look the type, Shelley, but maybe you're just panicky, huh?
No, I'm not being panicky.
All right. Where's the nasty jam?
Right behind the couch. Take a look.
Okay. But you know, I see what you mean. Who is he, Shelley? How'd he get here?
Maybe it's Horner, I don't know. I tried to search him, but I couldn't.
Mm-hmm. Well, it wouldn't have helped anyway. Whoever shot him cleaned him out. No wallet, no papers, nothing.
I found this magazine lying under his hand. Look here.
Mm-hmm.
He must have written this just before he died.
Where's that?
Here.
Oh. It says, call Marion tonight about the orange dog, a foe. Orange dog, a foe. For what?
That's why I called you, Phil. Marion is my sister. And whatever the orange dog of foe is, it must be awfully important. We've got to find out what it means, Phil, for Marion's sake.
So far it means murder, honey, and that's for the cops.
No, Well, all right, call them. But keep Marion's name out of it. A thing like this could destroy her.
But look, maybe she pulled the trigger on our friend here.
Maybe, but I don't think so. She's a sweet kid, Phil. Give her a break. If I'm wrong, I swear I'll help you bring her in myself. Is that fair enough?
Okay, Shelley, it's a deal. It makes just as much sense as the orange dog of foe, but no more. After I checked as far as I could on my client and sent her home, which was to the Villa 12 at the Wilshire Gardens Hotel, I ripped the General Squeegee tire ad with the message scribbled across it out of the magazine, folded it up, and stuck it in my pocket. Next, I called Lieutenant Ibarra at Homicide and told him where I'd found a body, probably named Lou Horner, leaving out all the details about Shelley, Marion, and the orange dog. Then I started out the door, but got back as the shadows slid across the walk. I caught a glimpse of a large, ugly head of long, dirty hair set on a small, ugly body that was moving fast. By the time I got out on the walk, Longhair was already putting mileage on a green coupe with a broken tail light. It winked mockingly as it went out of sight. So I got in my car and headed for New Chinatown. It was the logical place to get some information regarding a Chinese dog. I saw a light filtering through a dingy window, illuminating the words James Tang, dealer in Oriental curios. Inside the musty shop, a little man, dressed in a black kimono, drifted forward, softly.
Yes?
I think perhaps you can help me, huh?
I am honored. To be able to help would bring fragrance of plum blossoms to my nostrils, carpet of rose petals to my humble floor, and 1,000 blessings upon my head.
Oh, that's very pretty. Tell me, what is the dog of foe?
The dog of foe? Why, this fantastic creature here is called the dog of foe. His fierce eyes and snarling mouth are to frighten away evil spirits from temples of Buddha.
Why do you say called the dog of foe?
Amateur collectors and auctioneers have named him that. It sounds exotic to cash customers. Actually, he is a lion. The lion of Korea.
I see. Tang, would you happen to have an orange dog of foe?
Very strange that you should ask that, my friend.
Strange? Why?
Reason number one. There is no authentic orange dog of foe.
That's a good reason. Why not?
Because to Buddhists, orange is color of sorrow. The piece you speak of could not possibly be authentic.
What's reason number two?
You are second person to inquire after this non-existent orange dog of foe within the last few minutes.
Was it an ugly little man with long hair?
Quite contrary. It was a very pretty girl with short hair.
Was her name Marion?
She made point of not leaving her name.
Now, that proves something.
However, my friend, old Chinese proverb, loosely translated, says, a little knowledge is the instrument of a fool.
There were 9 other curio shops in the neighborhood, so I started making the rounds for the non-existent orange dog of foe and the girl who was interested in one. From the first 3 shops, I got a fast horse laugh in the fact that the girl was still ahead of me. The next 2 netted an insult apiece and a total blank on the dame. And from the 6th called Saxon's, a glossy, well-ordered place on West 7th Street, the only effect was a coldly curious raised eyebrow. The man in front of me, whom I took to be Mr. Saxon himself, was a gaunt, white Russian with a high, naked head the color of warm paraffin. His slender fingers played nervously with each other as we talked.
The orange dog of foe. Yes, I have heard of such a piece, I think. It would be porcelain.
Probably. This is your business. Who has it, Mr. Saxon? Can you tell me?
No, I am sorry. I believe I heard this orange dog mentioned just once, somewhere down in the village. But I'm sure I could never remember who spoke of it or when.
Oh, no idea of its value then, huh?
Now that you mention it, I seem to remember the figure 20,000.
You mean yen? How much in American money?
I am speaking of American money. It would be an importation from China, you know.
How could it be worth that much? It's not even authentic, Mr. Saxon.
Authentic? You seem to know a good deal more than I about this orange dog. Possibly one would have to see it to appreciate its value.
Yeah. Tell me, has a girl been in here tonight looking for this orange dog?
A girl? I know.
Know anybody named Marion?
Marion. No, there is no one in my acquaintance by that name. But why do you ask?
Because Marion has quite an interest in the orange dog. I have a feeling they'd make a great team if we could get them together.
I see. And what is your name, sir?
It's not Fu Manchu, Mr. Saxon. Good night. Saxon's expression didn't change. I turned and walked out of the place, and then because, with both of us using double talk, the conversation was bound to deteriorate. At least I had found out that the orange dog of Foe existed. It was going for a very high figure, especially for a phony. And it didn't take an abacus to figure out that Saxon knew more than he told me. Well, I started up the sidewalk to the next bric-a-brac emporium when I saw something parked on the side street, which brought me to a halt. It was that green coupe with the broken tail light. I went over to it, found it empty, and stuck my head inside to check the registration card for Longhair's real name. Yeah, it was a very foolish move because Longhair at that very moment prodded my kidney with the muzzle of a .38. And neither he nor the gun had a sense of humor.
All right, Mr. Wise Guy, come on, walk. You and me are going up the alley here.
What's the matter? Don't you feel at home in the light?
Shut up. I don't like it much anyway, so you better ease off with the smart sayings. Okay, this will do us far enough. Well, Mr. Wise Guy, did you find what you're looking for?
You mean the orange dog, Shorty? The answer's no.
The orange dog. So that's where the plates are.
What plates?
You're working for Horner. You don't know what plates.
Look, chum, when you get your next haircut, have your brains dusted off. Nobody works for Horner anymore. Horner's dead.
Dead? Since when?
What's the surprise act for? You saw the body. You were sneaking around that house on Los Feliz. In fact, you might have killed Horner yourself.
That body wasn't Horner. Why, Horner's 3 times the size of that guy in Los Feliz. He's bald. Also, he's so dumb he can't remember his own phone number. Oh, hold it.
I'm looking for Vera Street where they throw those enchiladas. I'm sorry, gentlemen. I don't want to intrude.
Hey, quiet. I'll blow your brains out. All right, now, come on, Mr. Wise Guy. Tell me what Horner's got on his mind. You know all right. I saw you taking orders from this girl.
You mean Shelley Martin?
Who else?
Thought maybe you meant Marion.
Marion? Who's Marion?
Shelley Martin's sister. And don't let it worry you. Marion's got the orange dog eating out of her hand.
I don't say. It ain't funny, mister. It's just peculiar. Because Shelley Martin don't have a sister, I know. So it seems like you're a very mixed-up character. In fact, Mr. Wise Guy, you're so mixed up, you're no good to me at all. So get over there with the rest of that.
I took my time getting up. The dirty, long-haired little man was gone. My head ached from the rap he'd given me with the pistol barrel. And I was disgusted with myself. Dry, dirty, disgusted like a drunk at sunrise because a nasty little jerk with an oversized head and a blue-eyed dynamo with auburn hair had me jumping through hoops like a trained ape. I stood in the alley and swore at myself until the futility of that routine dawned on me. Then I decided to go hunting. But I made one stop first at a telephone to at least get Ibarra off my conscience.
Lieutenant Ibarra.
Marlowe, Lieutenant. I just found out that body on Los Feliz isn't Horner.
I knew that an hour ago.
Huh?
The body isn't Horner's, and Horner is no broke. He's a counterfeiter, a big one.
No.
The dead man was a treasury agent named Slade who was closing in on Horner. So if you've got anything you haven't told, Phil, you better get it off your chest.
At this point, it's a pleasure. Girl named Shelley Martin's calling the signals about now, and she can be found at Villa 12, Wilshire Gardens Hotel. Yeah, hurry. You'll just about meet me there, Ibarra.
Now, wait. Suppose you go alone and find out what you can first.
That's a switch.
I'll follow in half an hour. Let's not freeze her up, Marlowe. Let's keep her talking, okay?
Okay, Ibarra. That's easy for her. She's got a forked tongue. Only this time it's going to wag strictly on the straight and narrow, I guarantee it.
In just a moment, we will return to the second act of the adventures of Philip Marlowe. But first, it's no mystery that hunger and cold confront many families abroad this winter. CARE will help feed and clothe these needy people. CARE, the safe, sure, non-profit way to send supplies to Europe and Asia. A check to CARE for $10 will send a 21.5-pound, 41,000-calorie food package, or a baby food package, or a layette, or a baby blanket package, or material for clothing. CARE guarantees delivery. You get a signed receipt that your package has reached its destination. Write your check tonight. Mail it first thing in the morning to CARE, C-A-R-E, 50 Broad Street, New York City. And now, with our star, Gerald Moore, we return to the second act of Philip Marlowe and tonight's story, The Orange Dog.
When I pointed my car toward the Wilshire Gardens and a beautiful liar named Shelley Martin, I was sure of two things. The plates that Longhair had wisecracked about just before he piled me into a row of garbage cans were the engraved kind that counterfeiters use to make money the easy way. And second, both Longhair and Lou Horner were racing for the plates as well as the Orange Dog, which could be one and the same thing. But 20 minutes later, as I pulled up near Villa 12, which was strips of yellow light and raised voices drifting out of half-open Venetian blinds, I forgot about the gentleman involved and concentrated on a lady who didn't have a sister called Marion. I went around to the back of the villa where I found the service door unlocked and the kitchen beyond dark. And when I entered and quietly moved to a spot near the living room where I could see Shelley snapping at a pompous, excitable man with a red face, I figured that a little eavesdropping might pay off.
I'm here in Los Angeles. Is there anything wrong with that, Mr. Horner?
Yes, everything. Why, I wouldn't even have known you were in town if I hadn't gone back to the place in Los Feliz where I saw you and some man having a delightful little chit-chat over the body of that T-man.
Treasuryman?
Yes.
Is that who he was?
A meddlesome fool I caught snooping through my papers.
Then you killed him, Lou.
Of course I killed him. I had to. Now stop asking questions and get out of here. Because this is business, not pleasure, Shelley. And that leaves no room for you.
Or Marion?
What do you know about Marion?
Not enough. But what I do know, I don't like. Look, Lou, who is Marion and what does she mean to you?
Marion means money to me, Shelley. Nothing more. So just leave me alone here so that I can make a call according to schedule.
A call about... Lou.
What's the matter, Shelley?
Behind you, Lou. They're in the garden. Lou!
The bullet crashed through a closed window didn't stop until it got the Horner, who grabbed at his chest and dropped to the floor even before the glass quit flying. And by the time I got outside to where the shot had come from, I found nothing but a little wind rustling a lot of trees. When I got back to Shelley and the blood over tweed on the carpet, Horner was already dead.
Marlowe, the man out there was Henry Peel.
Peel? Something in long hair and dirty clothes?
Yes, I met him in Horner's office once. Lou said he was a broker from Chicago.
Come on, both Peel and Horner are counterfeiters.
What? Lou, a counterfeiter?
That's right. Never mind the carefully arched eyebrows, honey. They mean nothing.
But, Marlowe, I swear I never knew that Horner was anything but a broker.
A broker maltreating poor sister Marion? You're a liar, Shelley.
About Marion, yes. I haven't even got a sister. But from there on out, I'm telling the truth, Phil.
Then tell some more and fast.
All right, here it is. Lou Horner's been my boyfriend.
And, checkbook?
For the past year and a half. But about a month ago, he suddenly stopped being very attentive. And I couldn't figure out why.
So you decided to keep your big blue eyes wide open, huh?
Exactly. And it paid off. Because I found out that, 1, he had taken better than $20,000 out of his bank account. 2, that he was coming down here to Los Angeles.
And 3, that an item named Marion might be beating your time.
Yes. And that part of it upset me plenty. Until 10 minutes ago. But then I found out that Horner here was a murderer, and that, Marlowe, I don't buy.
3 cheers for the all-American girl.
Oh, skip it, Marlowe. I'll live my way, you live yours.
Don't worry, honey. Nobody wants to change places with you. Hey, look. Why does Horner wear a little rubber band on his little finger, do you know?
Oh, he had a bad memory. Used every kind of gadget in the books to keep himself from forgetting things, especially numbers.
Oh.
Well, for example, that rubber band might mean 10 o'clock.
How do you figure?
Like 5 and 5. The fingers on each hand, reading from left to right. He used things like that.
Oh. Wait a minute. Horner was going to make a call to Marion just now, and the message the T-Man left was...
Call Marion tonight
about the Orange Dog of Foe. Shelley, baby, where's your phone? Fast. Come on, it's 10:15 already.
Well, it's out there in the hall, Marlowe.
Oh.
What are you talking about?
A line, honey, a line on your ex-sister, Marion.
This is Mr. Saxon.
Ah. Lou Horner, Mr. Saxon. I know I'm some 15 minutes late with this call, but I'd still like to see you about the Orange Dog of Foe.
Certainly, Mr. Horner. The Orange Dog is here, waiting for you.
Good. I'll be right over.
Marlowe, who is Mr. Saxon?
A man very close to a lot of trouble, Shelley. Now, look, you wait right here for the law, and in particular, one Lieutenant Ibarra. Tell him nothing but the truth about Horner and what he meant to you in dollars and cents, and you may be all right.
But where are you going, Marlowe?
To a curio shop on West 7th Street to see, among other things, the Orange Dog of Foe.
are the Mr. Horner who called?
Yeah. Also the one who was here this afternoon, you remember?
Oh, yeah.
Well, I'm sorry I didn't call you at 10, Mr. Saxon, according to schedule. I hope it hasn't inconvenienced you.
No, that's quite all right, Mr. Horner. One moment, sir.
What's the matter? Is anything wrong tonight? Seem on edge, Mr. Saxon.
I am. So please, Mr. Horner, don't make a single stupid move.
What? Wait a minute. Why the gun, Mr. Saxon? I promised not to bite the orange dog.
You won't even touch the orange dog. No, who are you?
Oh, we've been all through that. I'm Horner, Saxon. Lou Horner of San Francisco.
No, you're not. Horner would have had no reason to wander around curio shops as you did this afternoon, asking any and everybody about the orange dog. Now, once more, who are you, and where is the real Lou Horner?
All right, we'll take them in that order. I'm a private detective named Philip Marlowe, and Lou Horner's a corpse. But also, I'm a good friend of yours, Saxon, because I'm going to give you a little bit of advice for free. Call it quits, Buster. You're licked.
What are you talking about, Marlowe?
The T for Treasury man named Slade. Before he died, Saxon, he talked.
I see.
Yeah, and believe me, he said enough to put you away till orange dogs are as popular as lifesavers. And what do you say, Saxon? Do we play it smart?
Very well, Marlowe. We will play it smart. My kind of smart. Now, turn around and walk through that curtain there. I want to show you something.
Orange dog, maybe?
Yes. The orange dog of Foe. I want you to see it for yourself before you die.
Saxon said die like it already happened. And after he relieved me of the comforting bulge of the gun in my pocket and marched me to a large, windowless room that was a little darker than the lining of an 8-ball, he told me to stand very still. Then he turned on a single lamp that rested on a large, scarred table, and next to it an ordinary shipping crate and cushioned on all sides by white wrapping paper. I finally saw the orange dog of Foe. It was a porcelain lion, pop-eyed, majestic in a crazy way. And also it was colored orange, bright and clear. But now that I'd seen it, I knew that the next move was Saxon's, and I turned to face him. It was then that I noticed the black curtain behind him moved slightly, and Longhair quietly stepped into the room. This Mr. Saxon did not know about.
Well, Marlowe, now that you have seen the orange dog for your first and last time, what do you think of it?
He thinks it's just jet dandy, mister. Now drop your gun before I blow the top of your head off. Go on, drop it. It's better. Now sit down there and stay put. You, Marlowe, get across the room.
Okay. Thanks for showing up, Peel, before Saxon here ran out of small jokes.
Don't kid yourself, Marlowe. I didn't just show up. I've been right behind you all the way. That's how I work.
So what do you want, Peel?
A couple of very fine engraved plates that I've been after for 6 months now.
Plates which could be in the orange dog of Foe?
No place else but. Or do you think that maybe the late Mr. Horner wanted as an ornament?
But that's all it is. There are no plates in the orange dog. It is only a collector's item.
And you're a liar, Saxon. And I know the best way to prove that. Marlowe, pick that thing up and toss it against the wall.
No, don't. I tell you there's nothing in it.
Toss it, Marlowe. Go on.
Okay, Peel.
Now we'll see who's right about the plates being hit.
Nothing, huh, Peel?
No. Nothing. All right, Saxon, get up. I want to know what the plates are, so I'm going to count to 3. That's how long you have to live if you don't tell me.
No. Peel, believe me, there are no plates.
1, 2.
Hold it, Peel. Wait. Here are the plates. Here. In this jeweled box. Look, right here, under your nose.
Is he out, Marlowe?
Yeah, he's out all right. He took a light with him, too. Is there another lamp in here?
No, there isn't. Nor is there another gun.
Why, you stinking little... Wait a minute. Those sirens, Saxon, they're heading this way.
Police?
Yeah, the police. Looks like sooner or later everybody gets together in the back room at Saxon's,
But not everybody stays here, so I'll take this wrapping paper and leave now.
Wrapping paper? The stuff that was around the orange dog?
Yes, a sample of the best grade of counterfeiting paper made, Marlowe. And that's what Horner was supposed to buy, not plates. Those he got a month ago.
Still makes you a crook, Saxon, and one who'll never get past the front door.
Oh, no, we'll see about that. Marlowe!
Keep shooting, Saxon, in the dark. You got 4 shots left.
You filthy murderer!
Only 1 now, Saxon. That's number 6. You're through, Saxon. By the time Ibarra and his boys, plus a half a dozen very anxious team men, got into the room, Saxon was already coming apart at the seams. After a half hour of steady questioning, he split wide open and led us all to a basement hideout where the team men went wild over a few thousand sheets of A1 counterfeiting paper. But an hour later, after Peel, who admitted murdering Lou Horner, and Saxon, who was ready for the nearest straitjacket, were both in the lockup, there was still the problem of the glib lass from San Francisco. But finally, when Shelley, Lieutenant Ibarra, and I stood under the green light of the globe in front of police headquarters, I knew that the girl who technically was only guilty of withholding information from the police was not going to spend any time in the pokey. Because, after all, I was more or less guilty of the same thing. Besides, Lieutenant Ibarra was still interested in the others.
Well, Marlowe, it looks like the whole business actually boils down to a single transaction between Clay Saxon, who had the counterfeiting paper, and Lou Horner, who was supposed to buy it.
That's right, Ibarra. But Horner, who must have made his contact with Saxon via some middleman in San Francisco, only had a telephone number and the password, the Orange Dog of Foe, to work on here in L.A.
But how'd you get hold of that number, Phil?
From the message the T-Man left before he died.
You mean you actually called someone named Marion?
No, honey, I just dialed Marion. M.A. Madison. R-I-O-N 7466. Madison 7466. You get it?
Yeah. Another one of Horner's screwy memory tricks, like the rubber band on his 10th finger.
Hey, that's pretty good, Phil.
Ah, it's an old gimmick, really. I read it in a dozen detective stories.
What do you know? Maybe I ought to read some of those. Well, good night, Philip. Look for you tomorrow.
Good night, Lieutenant. Well, Shelley, do I show you the way home?
No, Marla. Aren't you hungry or thirsty or something?
Yeah, guess I am at that.
Well, I know just the place for us, darling.
Oh?
The cute little place right smack in the middle of Chinatown.
Well, we got through a small Chinese dinner without seeing or hearing from a single orange dog. And when it came time to leave, I was thinking that Shelley wasn't really too bad a kid at that. So when she left the table to powder her nose, I started to make plans. But when she got back, I forgot about them because in the meantime, she'd run into an old friend. Yeah, a rich old friend who was all alone in the big city. I said I didn't mind taking a rain check when she explained that he was from Kansas City and a broker at that. He certainly was overweight. Too much steak and potatoes. Steak and potatoes. Wonder if Lindy's is still open.
The Adventures of Philip Marlowe, created by Raymond Chandler, stars Gerald Moore, and is produced and directed by Norman MacDonald. Script is by Mel Dinelli, Robert Mitchell, and Gene Levitt. Featured in the cast were Francis Robinson, Edgar Barrier, Tony Barrett, Lou Krugman, and Ed Begley. Lieutenant Detective Ibarra is played by Jeff Corey. The special music was by Richard Orant. Be sure and be with us again next week when Philip Marlowe says...
I was hired to find a blackmailer, and I did. But first I found a badly beaten Adonis, a Jezebel with an accent, and a man who had been an easy mark for murder.
"90 minutes of unsurpassed comedy comes to you every Sunday night when CBS brings you the Spike Jones Show, the Jack Benny Show, and Amos and Andy in succession. Tomorrow night, pianist Alec Templeton and songstress Peggy Mann are Spike Jones' special guests. Jack Benny and his gang, and Amos and Andy, following in succession, will bring you more of the laughs that make them first for Sunday night fun. Spike Jones and Amos and Andy come to you over most of these same CBS network stations, and Jack Benny comes to you over them all. Now, stay tuned for Gangbusters, which follows immediately over most of these stations. This is Roy Rowan speaking for CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
Crime Does Not Pay.
Boy, oh boy, some party, huh, Maggie?
Was it? I hadn't noticed.
Just terrific, baby.
Well, let's see now. This is Friday. Seems to me we had the same party, except for my little invention, every night this week.
Oh, but that invention, Maggie, you're a genius. Just like me.
Okay, genius. Then how about figuring some way to have some real fun?
There's nothing wrong with this layout. Everybody thinks it's swell.
Everybody but me. I want out. And fast.
Ah, come on to bed, Maggie. You'll feel better in the morning.
I hate the country. I hate staying in one spot. I promise you, Joe, I won't feel better in the morning.
Yes, you will. Come on, let's hit the hay.
Better get this straight, Joey. I don't want to hit the hay. I want to see the world.
In the interest of good citizenship and law enforcement, we present Crime Does Not Pay, based on the famous Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer series of short subjects. In just a moment, you will hear Ingenious Woman, starring Barbara O'Neill. Now, Crime Does Not Pay, starring Barbara O'Neill as Maggie Davis in Ingenious Woman. They were riding high. Joe Davis had the perfect layout. A huge house on a back road within reach of a good-sized city, but still isolated. The gang loved it, from Joe himself all the way down the line to Snoopy Stark, who just drove the getaway cars. Yes, they all loved it, even Joe's wife, Maggie, or so it seemed. And their parties were something to talk about out there where noise and general rowdyism couldn't disturb any neighbor.
Hey, Maggie, how's about a smooch, eh?
Stop it, Hotshot. You're not funny when you're like this.
Oh, come on, Maggie. Joey won't mind.
He better mind.
Well, naturally I mind. Natch. What do I mind?
Oh, you go away, too.
You hear that, Hotshot? Is that a way to treat a one and only husband?
One and only's right. When they made you, they took one look and gave up in disgust.
What's with you, Maggie? This is a swell party.
Yeah, sure. Exactly like the party last night, and the night before that, and the night before that.
So what?
So plenty. I'm bored.
Hey, fellas. Hey, fellas.
Wait a minute.
Maggie's bored. Make her laugh.
Oink, 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 oink.
Not very funny.
You got any ideas?
Your turn, Maggie.
Hey, ideas. Who's got ideas?
Yeah, let me hear the ideas. Who's got it?
Well, as a matter of fact, I have an idea.
You got an idea?
You want to play a new game?
Yeah.
Well, okay. Now listen.
I'm game.
While you gentlemen have been sleeping your days away, little Maggie's been busy.
So that's why I can't get into the library.
Well, I picked the library, dear, because there's nothing in it you'd care to read anyway.
Yes, no comic books. Very funny. Go ahead, Maggie.
Well, who wants to be it?
What is it, blind man's buff?
No way. Who's it?
Well, how's about we flip for it, huh?
Yeah.
Odd man. And no two-headed coin.
Yeah.
All right, well, now, when I say three, fellas. 1, 2, 3.
Tails.
Tails. Me too.
I'm in, I guess. Heads.
Well, then come along with Mama.
To the library?
To the library. The rest of you stay here till I call you.
Okay, Queenie.
Right.
Hey, where's the lights?
No lights. You're not supposed to see. And I don't have to.
Just like post office when I was a kid.
Yes, dear. Just. Now sit down, Eager.
Where?
Here. That's a good boy.
Hey, it's an armchair.
Hold the arms. Good. Now, one side.
What you doing, Maggie?
Now, the other side.
Hey, what's the idea?
And the legs.
I got it out. Made me feel like I was getting a hot seat.
Now, the latest sachet chapeau for Eager's lovely head.
Oh, Maggie, let me out of there.
And last, the light.
Hey, It is a hot seat.
All right, boys.
Hey, what's the
You want to be witness?
Hey, he's cute, all strapped in. Don't he look natural? This for the Brooklyn job or that one in Florida?
Make her let me out of this. Come on, Maggie, let me out. This feels like maybe it works.
You want to see?
Hey, can you beat that, Dave?
Hey, Maggie, let him out of that chair.
Why? A good tickle never hurt anybody. I had to give shock treatments to nuts, even.
You're not
You see, I rigged it to the wall plug.
Maggie, don't do it.
Well, and spoil my fun? Of course not. Well, here we go, boys.
Hey, Maggie, don't.
Oh, that didn't hurt, did it? You want another little tickle, Eager?
Hey, that's terrific, huh? Hey, Maggie, you're really something.
What an idea, what an idea. Hey, fellas, get me out of here.
Hey, look at him jump. Give it to him, Maggie.
Yeah, come on. Hey, this is just like the real thing.
Hit him again, Maggie. Hit him again. Go ahead.
Okay, boys. Okay, Eager's had enough. Now, who wants to try my little invention next?
Boy, oh boy, some party, huh, Maggie?
Was it? I hadn't noticed.
Just to riff, baby.
Let's see now. This is Friday. Seems to me we had the same party, except for my little invention, every night this week.
Oh, but that invention, Maggie, you're a genius. Like me.
Okay, genius. Then how about figuring some way for us to have some real fun?
Oh, what's wrong with this layout? Everybody thinks it's swell.
Everybody but me. I want out, and fast.
Ah, come on to bed, Maggie. You'll feel better in the morning.
I hate the country. I hate staying in one spot. I promise you, Joe, I won't feel better in the morning.
Yes, you will. Come on, let's hit the hay.
You better get this straight, Joey. I don't want to hit the hay. I want to see the world.
All of a sudden, the world.
All of a sudden, nothing. Before we got married, you promised me trips, cars, and clothes. And what have I got? 12-room hole in the country and no place to get dressed up for if I had the clothes.
All right. So what, where, and how?
Well, now look, Joe. You could let the boys keep house here, you see. We've got the passports. We never used them. We could get a couple of visas for England, hop a plane, and be over there in no time.
You got it all figured, haven't you?
Well, of course. You think all I do with my time is figure out how to build phony electric chairs?
Say, Mrs. Davis, having you over here is both a pleasure and a profit.
Well, thank you, Albert. You're sweet.
Of course, we've had our own methods of operation, but you Americans are most efficient.
Yes, quite. What is it here, Lennon? Your cap's on the slow
Well,
side?
I told Davis, manpower shortage, the war and all.
Well, the pickings ought to be terrific.
Not quite that, Mrs. Davis, but good enough.
Well, what's holding you back? Hot cars ought to let you plenty, if you have an organization.
We have the organization, but so has Harry Layton.
Who's that?
Well, Harry controls the south of England. He's been expanding his activities in our direction.
Well, why don't you stop him?
His gunners are as good as ours. We aren't especially anxious to have any of our boys hurt.
Hey, you gotta take chances sometimes.
In this racket, you don't have to.
We'd be very happy to listen to a suggestion, Mrs. Davis.
Now, take it easy, Maggie.
You boys ever rig a torpedo under a hood?
Well?
Never heard of it.
Me either. If you'd be so good, Mrs. Davis.
Well, it's really quite simple. All you need, basically, are a few sticks of dynamite and some wire.
Since the war, explosives are plentiful. Your American factories sent us some marvelous supplies.
Kind of underground Marshall plan, you might call it.
Fair enough. Well, now then, this is the way you might do it. First, you'd have to have access to your friend Harry's car.
Simple enough.
And then you have your torpedo ready with a primer that'll go off on a 6-volt battery.
If you can see, connect the primer to the battery.
Blow yourself up? No. Connect it under the car's hood to the terminals of the ignition switch.
That's my wife, fellas, the electrical wizard.
Which is the feminine of that word, Joey?
Yeah, it's the same thing. Go ahead, teacher.
Well, it's obvious, isn't it? Friend Harry turns on his ignition, boom. No more car. No more Harry. And no more competition.
Might be worth a try. Think so, Al?
Worth a try? I'll say so. And quite efficient. Yes, most efficient. in a true American fashion.
That you, Joe?
Right. Well, the boys did it, Maggie. Every one of those silly London newshawks with the sandwich signs, you know.
What about them?
Special. Get your special edition. Gang warfare. Eddie Layton goes up in smoke. Okay. Hold everything. Yeah?
Sergeant Detective Rivers, CID. May I come in?
CID? What's that?
Come right in, Sergeant. CID. Oh, that's Scotland Yard, isn't it?
Yes, madam. Quite correct. I assume you are Mr. and Mrs. Joseph Davis?
And what if we are?
There are no ifs about it, Mr. Davis. We've been with you, shall we say, since your arrival here in England.
Well.
Yes, madam. I dropped by to advise you we've taken James Lennon into custody. We expect very shortly to apprehend Albert Maxwell.
And what's that got to do with us?
Nothing, I trust. However, we do know of your contacts with the parties in question, and we regret to inform you that the Foreign Office finds it necessary to cancel your visas at once. They have so informed your ambassador. We expect you to act accordingly as soon as transportation is available, or we shall have to take you in charge. Good day, sir. Madam.
What was he yakking about?
Oh, don't you get it, dimwit? Start packing. In plain American, we've been given the heave-ho. Right out of dear old London.
In just a moment, Crime Does Not Pay will continue with Ingenious Woman. Now we continue with Crime Does Not Pay, starring Barbara O'Neill as Maggie Davis in Ingenious Woman. While Maggie packed their trunks and bags, Joe Davis tried for space on planes leaving England. There was none available. Joe tried the big ocean liners. Joe tried the smaller passenger vessels. Joe and Maggie finally arrived in Miami, Florida, aboard a grimy freighter. Maggie did not permit Joe to forget that voyage for a long time.
50 square feet of deck for 15 days. That's all we had. 50 square feet of rolling deck. And the food and that stupid first mate.
All right. I heard it all before.
Yeah, and you'll hear it again. Great brain. Oh, we had the passports. No one will check us. Don't get new ones under phony names. So Scotland Yard tailed us from the minute we got off that plane.
Now, listen, it was your idea. The passports, I mean.
Not after I thought about it, it wasn't.
Who wanted to see the world? Well, you saw it. London, Liverpool, and every lousy port in the West Indies until we hit here. Don't you complain. Me, I'm glad to be back in a country where people talk American.
All the good it does. And a third-rate, broken-down flea bag they call a hotel. Not even on the beach. The city of Miami on the wrong side of Biscayne Bay.
This joint is perfect for my operations.
Your What now, lame brain?
It may interest you, Mrs. Lame Brain, that I'm taking over the bookies in this burg.
Oh, and buying a half interest in the racetrack, no doubt.
Could be someday.
Someday? When?
Snoopy and Eager are coming down.
Oh, tell me when. I want to rig another little electric chair for little Eager.
Day after tomorrow. And leave the chairs alone.
Don't worry about that. Eager will be afraid to sit down around here. What's your plan?
Well, frankly, dearest, it's none of your business.
Now, look, as long as I'm married to you...
This is one operation I'm running my way.
You know Big Jim Palmer runs the rackets around here?
So what? I'll cut him down to size. Stick around, Maggie. You'll see fireworks before the winter's over. That's the jerk on the corner.
Right. Hold the phone.
We'll show him, huh, Snoopy?
Yeah, we'll show him, boss.
Hey, you taking the bets around here?
What if I am?
Joey Davis takes his cut direct.
You working for Joey?
I don't kid about that. Joey's sitting right in the car this time to back me up. Pay. 10%.
Says you. Here's the pigeon, fella. Hey, Joey, it's a frame.
Yeah, get going. Quick.
Where's Eager?
Eager's dead. Didn't you see him get it in the head? Now drive before they cut us to pieces. Hey, Maggie. Hey, give me a hand. Snoopy's hurt.
Hurt bad? Where's Eager?
Eager's dead. They opened up on us with a chopper.
My arm. It's broke, I tell you. My arm is
Come on,
broke.
put Snoopy on the couch. Get his jacket off.
Yeah.
You and your half interest in racetracks. What'd you do? Try to take a bookie in broad daylight?
Yeah, I figured it'd scare the pants off a big How'd you know?
I know you, dummy.
My arm.
Oh, it's not so bad. Only a flesh wound. Well, you followed here?
How would I know? We just beat it.
Oh, that ties it. You botched it again. I'll start packing, bright boy, while I tie up your boyfriend here before he bleeds to death. In a minute. Oh.
Hello, Maggie. Remember me?
Well, nobody forgets Jim Palmer.
Right. Except maybe that bake brain you married.
What's your spiel?
Still sticking to him, kid? You want a job with me?
I said, what's your spiel?
Joey here?
He's out. Looking for a drugstore. Hey, is anything open on Sunday in Philadelphia?
My eyes are. Wide enough to see a character in town I want out of town. Tell Joey when he comes back. You got 24 hours to scram out of Philly. Or it'll be as unhealthy around here as a certain street corner in Miami. I sure miss Snoopy. Don't you, Maggie?
Yeah, like a hole in the head.
He's probably having himself a time on that farm.
Uh-huh. If there is a farm.
Oh, there is. I saw pictures of it once. And his uncle and aunt.
Good place for Snoopy. For the pigs.
Ah, can't you ever say anything decent about anybody?
Why should I? What have I got? Except you?
Ah, nuts. I'm going out.
Where?
Out. I'll tell you after I've been there.
Maggie, my girl. You soft in the head, sticking with this jerk. Oh, quick trip.
Hey, Maggie. Two of Jim's boys, Rod Stabbers and Shiv Hines, across the street.
Oh, what are they doing? Waiting for a streetcar?
No. For me.
Say, you got the shakes. Jim chases out of Miami and Philly, not New York.
Well, I didn't tell you. I got a message. Out of New York, too. I thought we could maybe hide out.
You what? With what? Where's my hat?
Hey, where are you going?
To the movies. There's a swell gangster picture up the block.
Oh, no, Maggie, cut it out. You can't leave me alone.
Oh, they won't try anything here. Too many witnesses. Anyhow, they'll wait for night. Stay here, crumb bum. Maybe I'll think of something to get you out of this.
Oh, Maggie, no, have a heart. Maggie!
Which one of you is Rod Status?
Who wants to know?
I'm Maggie Davis.
Yeah? Pleased to meet you. This here is Shiv Hines.
Hello, Shiv.
Yeah.
I understand you boys have an interest in my husband.
You might call it that.
The boss has.
I know. I saw him in Philly.
Offer you a job?
He did?
The boss likes his dames grown up.
Meaning exactly what?
You don't play with kids.
I'm not a kid.
You'll do.
Too bad your guy ain't got brains to match your looks.
I'm beginning to feel that way myself.
Yeah? Why don't you ditch him?
I promised my mother I'd never get a divorce.
Is that all?
Forget it. Look, lady, for a dame whose guy is on the spot, You sure are taking up time with the wrong people.
Am I, Rod?
Ain't you?
Maybe not. Maybe the job you fellas have to do works two ways.
So what?
So maybe there's a quiet little place around here we could go and talk.
What about?
Oh, things like husbands, knives. You like to talk about knives, don't you, Shiv?
Mrs. Davis?
Right here, Rod.
Yeah, the boss said okay.
Good. Now, you won't nuff this now. I've had enough botched jobs to last me a lifetime.
Don't worry about that. All right, start talking.
You go in the front way. This key opens the vestibule door.
Yeah, gotcha.
2 flights up, door facing the head of the stairs.
Yeah.
2nd floor rear.
Yeah.
He didn't even take a front room.
He ain't sitting there with a heater waiting for us, because if he is, Big Jim will see to it that you die, slow and uncomfortable.
He's sound asleep. Doesn't even know I'm out. Here's the key to that door.
You sure make this easy.
Yeah. Hey, maybe we can do an ears job.
A what?
Red holds his ears. I say, look at us, Joey. Then I slit him.
Maybe you can.
All right, come on, Shiv. Time's a-wasting.
You coming, Mrs. Davis?
No, I'll wait till you come back. Then I'll go up and find him.
Good enough. All right, come on, let's go.
This one ought to go quick.
Good. Now, get the hood up. Set it. There. Between the engine and the dashboard. Wires? Nice little work line. Don't even need no flash. All set. He turns the ignition key. Boom. Joey will be done. And no witnesses. Neat. Well, he should be through by now. Well, that was fast.
Like a hot knife through butter. Pretty neat. Let's go, Mrs. Davis.
Go? Where?
You didn't think Jim would let you go around loose after this job, did you?
Oh. I see. Here?
No. Boss said to take you out a ways.
You did? Boss wants me out of ways. In this car?
Right. Told us just where and how.
It'll be quick.
Oh, it'll be quick, all right. Very quick. Is Shiv driving? Or do you hold that gun on me and drive at the same time, Rod?
Shiv drives. We sit in the back. All right, get in.
Certainly.
Make her stop that, Rod. She makes me nervous.
You wouldn't want me not to laugh in my last moments, would you? Shiv?
All right, shut the door, Shiv. You got the car keys.
Well, here goes nothing.
You're so right, Shiv. Here goes nothing. Turn the key, Shiv. Here goes nothing.
Stop the car, Shiv.
Got it. Here we go.
Just remember, Shiv, the joke was on all of us.
Crime does not pay. Barbara O'Neill, who was starred as Maggie Davis in Ingenious Woman, will be back with you in just a moment. Now, here in person is Barbara O'Neill.
I think the story of Maggie Davis, a woman who finally destroyed herself, is something to think about. Actually, where does the fault lie? With the woman herself? Or does the fault lie with the society, which failed to provide proper channels for this woman and her talents? That is something to think about as we evaluate the losses caused by crime to ourselves as well as to the criminals. That is something to think about each time we reiterate the phrase, crime does not pay.
Thank you, Barbara O'Neill. Crime Does Not Pay is written by Ira Marion and directed by Marks B. Loeb, with music composed and conducted by John Gart. Technical advisor is Burton B. Turkis. The events, characters, and names used in the story you've just heard are fictitious. Any similarity is purely coincidental.
And now, Gangbusters. Gangbusters, presented in cooperation with police and federal law enforcement departments throughout the United States. The only national program that brings you authentic police case history. Gangbusters presents the case of the date with death, when murder linked an old coat, a woman in the rain, and angry police officers out to avenge a slain comrade.
Gangbusters has asked the Honorable M. Joseph Wallace, Chief Inspector, Baltimore City Police Department, to narrate by proxy tonight's case. Chief Inspector Wallace.
Thank you, and good evening, Gangbusters listeners. Suppose we begin tonight's case on a Sunday afternoon in late November 1947. A huge crowd had gathered in the Baltimore Municipal Stadium to watch the Baltimore Colts in a professional football game. The weather had been threatening all afternoon, and during the third quarter, the skies opened up. Many of the fans scurried out of the rain for cover beneath the stands. One of these was an attractive young woman who ran down a ramp toward the first shelter where a man was standing.
Is there room in there?
Room enough.
Oh, thanks. Oh, football.
The greatest game in the world.
Maybe on television. Look at my hair.
It's very nice.
Nice and wet. 50,000 idiots. 50,000 idiots watching a few men dribble a ball up and down out there in the pouring rain.
How about a cigarette?
Yes. Thanks.
Light?
Thanks.
Yes. Very nice.
What?
Your hair.
Oh. See it in pin curls.
I'd love to.
Well, thanks for the cigarette.
So you're not going back into the pouring rain, are you?
Oh, I've got a date out there.
He's more interested in football than in you.
Looks that way.
Not very smart, is he?
He just likes football.
What do you say you and me find some place to have a drink? Huh?
Oh, I couldn't run out on him.
You won't even miss him.
How do you know I won't miss him?
Well, that's another story.
You know of some place nearby where we can get a drink?
Sure.
I suppose we should have been introduced properly.
I'll introduce us. My name is Wood, Roy Wood.
Very pleased to meet you, Mr. Wood.
Roy.
I'm very pleased to meet you, Roy. I'm Helen.
Just Helen? That's nice.
Helen Denny.
Well, what are we standing here for? Shall we go?
Okay, why not? Oh, football.
You see, I told you I'd find a place where we could have a drink.
Well, here's to the Baltimore Colts. May they be victorious, wet or dry.
Say, what made you run out of the rain and right into me?
Oh, I don't know. Maybe that's the way it was meant.
Yeah, it was meant, Helen. You and me. We were meant.
Looks that way, doesn't it?
It is that way. You know it.
Boy, how crazy can we get? Known each other 20 minutes.
I couldn't be the liquor. We haven't even finished our first drink yet.
What is it? You know, this is funny. I'm 28 years old and I feel like a schoolgirl. Like a kid in saddle shoes.
You want to hear how I feel?
I hope I know.
You do, baby.
Tell me all about yourself. Where do you live? What do you do? Everything.
Oh, I live out on 33rd.
You do? I live out that way myself, on Pratt near Broadway.
We're practically neighbors. It's made to order.
Well, what do you do? For a living, I mean.
Oh, odd jobs.
What do you mean, odd jobs?
Oh, just that. I don't believe in tying myself down from 9 to 5 every day. When I need money, I work for it.
Oh.
You look a little bit disappointed.
Well, I just took it for granted that everybody had a job.
Well, let's just say that I'm more in the professional line. If there's anything I need, I just get it.
Nice to be able to get anything you need.
Is there anything you need, honey?
Nothing I can think of right now.
Well, don't let it worry you, Helen. I get along.
I'm sure you do. I think it stopped raining now.
I think we'll celebrate. We'll have another drink, huh?
All right, Roy. Let's have another drink.
Waiter. Waiter, hey, waiter.
Well, Gangbusters listeners, during the next few weeks that Roy Wood and Helen Denny became better acquainted, he was the subject of considerable thought in another part of Baltimore. But the man thinking about Roy Wood was not so fortunate as Helen Denny. He knew neither Wood's name nor his whereabouts. He was Detective Lieutenant George G. Bryan of the Baltimore Police Department. And as he sat at his desk one afternoon, the door to his office opened.
Hello, Lieutenant.
Oh, Sergeant Mayer, come in here. I want to talk to you.
I thought you swore you'd take a Sunday or two off.
Well, not this Sunday, Sergeant. Sit down.
Thanks.
How was Cleveland?
We got a conviction.
Yeah, I read about it. Well, are you ready to go to work?
Have you got trouble?
Yeah. Some stick-ups out of North Baltimore. Cab drivers. 7 of them so far. Between 9 o'clock at night and 2, 3 in the morning, this boy hops in a cab, asks to be taken someplace, puts a gun on the driver.
Only in North Baltimore?
So far, only in North Baltimore.
Oh. Any information on him, Lieutenant?
Only the description given by the victims. 25 to 30, 5'8" or 9, 150 to 60 pounds, good-looking, dresses well.
I see. Want me to get on it?
Yeah. Have a look at the report, Sergeant. And the uniform men out there are pretty much on the watch for this boy. They're taking a good look at every taxicab in the street at night. Talk to the uniform commander out in Northeast tonight. Maybe you can be of some help to each other.
Taxi! Hey, taxi!
Hop in, buddy. Yeah. Oh, what a night.
Yeah, it looks like we're in for big snow tonight. Thank heavens I'm through in another hour. Boy, I hate the drive in that snow. Old man Winter should drop dead. Where to?
Alameda and 33rd.
Right? Yeah, every winter I say to myself, Ernie, they got taxi cabs in Florida. Go to Miami, get yourself a job for the winter. Will you ever do it? Look at me. I got flat feet. Hey, did you ever hear of anybody getting flat feet pushing a hack?
Shut up.
What?
Look, mister, I don't want any more talk out of you. All I want is your dough. Now, keep your eye on the street, but remember, this is a gun sticking in your back.
Well, take it easy now.
You take it easy if you ever want to get to Miami. Where's your dough?
Right here in this pocket.
Keep your hands on the wheel. I'll reach for it.
Yeah, that's the pocket.
That's all you got?
Look, I had a bad night. It ain't my fault I had a bad night. Want me to pull over so you can get out now?
Almeida and 33rd.
Yeah, Almeida and 33rd. I hate to remark about it now, buddy, but in my rear view mirror comes up a squad car. You know, cops.
Just keep on driving.
Yeah. They're still there.
I see them.
There's a red light down there. You want me to stop for the red light or go on through?
Stop for it.
Yeah. Right alongside. They're pulling right alongside.
Don't give them any high sign.
I won't. Not me. Uh-oh, one of them's getting out to have a look. Here he comes.
Keep your mouth shut.
Okay.
Is everything all right, driver?
Yeah, officer,
You.
Me?
Step out of there. Let me have a look at you.
Huh. It's snowing, officer.
Step out here.
Oh, all right. You can have a look at this.
Hey! Oh, stop that man! Stop him! I got a gun! Come on, now, let's go. Come on. I'm right with you.
Yes? Who is it?
It's me, honey. Roy, let me in.
Roy, it's after 2 in the morning.
Please, let me in, please.
All right.
Thanks, Helen. Thanks a lot.
What's the matter with you, Roy?
Never mind, I'll be all right.
Where's your coat? You should have more sense than to go out on a night like this without your coat.
I should have had more sense than to go out, period.
What's the matter with you, Roy?
Don't you have any idea?
When you wake me up at 2 o'clock in the morning and practically break into my room, I don't care for riddles. I'm entitled to an explanation.
Helen, you love me?
What's that got to do with it?
It's got plenty to do with it.
All I want is a reasonable explanation.
All right. You hear those sirens? That's your explanation.
You're in trouble.
You bet I'm in trouble.
I'm sure you can straighten it out.
Not this kind of trouble you can't straighten out.
Were you in a fight?
Sort of a fight, yeah. Only worse.
Well, what happened?
They were chasing me. It's a break. You live right in the neighborhood. They're probably looking for me on the street right downstairs.
Not the police.
Now, who else do you think?
Oh, Roy.
It's not that much of a shock, Helen. You know it.
Yes, Roy, I know it.
Look, you let me stay a while, won't you, baby? Let me stay here.
Yes. As long as you want.
Good girl. Now, look, there's something you have to do for me.
What?
My overcoat. I couldn't run with it. I threw it in the alley next to the tavern around the corner. I want you to get dressed and go get it for me.
But, Roy...
Oh, please, honey, if they find the coat, they can find me. They have ways. Please, baby. If you love me.
All right. I'll get dressed.
Lieutenant Bryan.
Hello, Lieutenant. Sergeant Mayer.
Patrolman Benedict was dead on arrival at the hospital.
Yeah, we heard, Lieutenant.
Any sign of this man out there, Sergeant?
No, he probably ducked in someplace. But we found an overcoat in an alley off Pratt Street. It might be his. He might have shed it to make better time running.
That may be a break, Sergeant. Bring the coat in here right away.
Well, Gangbusters listeners, Baltimore detectives finally had their first tangible lead toward the identity of the hold-up man, Roy Wood. But unfortunately, it didn't come until the hold-up man became the murderer of a policeman. Detectives still had a long way to travel in the case, but they were able to take shortcuts because of a news vendor and a curt telegram.
And now back to Gangbusters. And now we hear again from tonight's narrator, Chief Inspector M. Joseph Wallace of Baltimore.
Thank you. As you know, Roy Wood, a hold-up man, shot and killed a Baltimore policeman who sought to question him. The killer escaped on foot, although pursued by the policeman's partner. It was about an hour later when the girl, Helen, came in the front door of her house and walked down the hall toward her room where the killer, Roy Wood, was waiting.
Baby, I gotta get back. I thought you... The coat. Where's the coat?
I looked in the alley, Roy. It wasn't there.
I guess they got it. Guess the cops picked it up.
Roy.
Huh?
You killed that policeman, didn't you?
Listen, baby.
Did you or didn't you?
Yeah, it was me.
The whole neighborhood is up. There are police cars all over.
Listen, honey. You won't say anything to anybody about this, will you?
How could you do it, Roy?
I did it, that's all. You won't say anything, will you?
Why didn't you leave me alone? Why'd you have to bring me all this?
Baby, I love you. You know what'll happen if they get me, you know, don't you?
You weren't fair to me, Roy. You should have let me know what I was getting into.
I know I should have, but I didn't. Honey, you won't say anything, will you?
No, Roy. I won't say anything.
Thanks, Helen. Thanks a lot.
What are you going to do, Roy?
I don't know. I gotta think.
They got the coat. You said they might be able to find you through the coat.
Yeah. I'll have to get out of town for a little while. I better go back to my room now and get some things.
But, Roy, the streets are full of policemen. If they see somebody without an overcoat...
Yeah, that's right. Can I stay here a little while longer?
All right. But you mustn't go back to your room, Roy. You mustn't go back at all.
Hey, Johnny, Lieutenant in there?
Yeah, he's in there, Sergeant.
Thanks. Hello, Lieutenant.
Come in, Sergeant.
Well, I guess we can put this overcoat in cold storage.
No luck, huh?
I traced it from the manufacturer to the retailer, the United on Fayette Street. They keep records of names and addresses of customers only when there's alterations. No alterations on this coat.
Well, how about their memory? Doesn't anybody there have a good memory?
Yeah, they remember having coats of this style in stock. That's about all. Nobody remembers selling this one.
Any cleaner's marks in it?
Nah, the coat's never been cleaned. Well, we at least know the guy is a perfect 40.
Sergeant.
Yeah?
It's pretty much of a sure thing this guy lives or did live in North Baltimore.
From the way he operated, yeah.
You want to waste a little time?
How?
Well, if he does live in North Baltimore someplace, there's somebody that's seen him and knows him. I think we ought to take this coat and visit every store and bar between Monroe and Hanover, north of Franklin. The coat's not the most ordinary ever made. Maybe somebody will recognize it and know the guy.
Maybe.
Don't you think it's worth it?
Sure, Lieutenant. I think it's worth it. Anything's worth it.
Sun, News Post, Ollie. What do you read? Sun, News Post. Paper, buddy?
No, not just now. I'm a police officer.
Yeah? Sun, News Post. What do you read? What do you read, paper?
Hey, look, the shopkeepers around here tell me you know most everybody in the neighborhood.
They can read, I know. Sun, News Post, Ollie.
You know the owner of this coat?
That coat there?
Yeah.
I don't look at people's coats. Hey, that could be Roy's.
Roy? Roy who?
How should I know Roy who? He buys the paper from me once in a while. They call him Roy.
Who calls him Roy?
The guys. He hangs out in that bar down the street, Casey's.
Okay. Thanks a lot.
For what? What do you read? Paper, Ollie, Sun Post. What do you read?
Hey, bartender.
Yeah? What'll be?
Are you Casey?
I am.
I'm from the police department.
Oh, well. Yeah, have a drink in the house.
You got a customer, Roy?
I got lots of customers. Some of them's named Roy.
The Roy that belongs to this coat.
Sweet suffering chipmunks. What's happened to Roy?
Nothing yet.
Well, he ain't been in here in a week.
What's Roy's other name?
Roy Wood, Woods, something like that. What's the matter with him?
Is he about 25 to 30 years old? 5 foot 8 or 9, weighs about 160?
Yeah, that's him.
Where does he live?
I don't know exactly. Over on 33rd someplace, but he ain't been in here in a week. Sweet suffering chipmunks, what's he got himself into?
Who knows? We just want to have a little talk with him. Thanks, Casey. Thanks a lot.
Deposit 45 cents, please.
Yeah. Here you are.
There's your party.
Helen?
Yes, Roy. How are you?
Miserable, baby.
Me too.
Honey, listen. Nobody's been around to see you? You know who I mean?
No, nobody's been around.
Oh, good. I guess everything's okay then. I'm coming back to Baltimore.
I don't know, Roy. It's too soon.
I've got to come back.
Roy.
I know what I'm doing, baby. I'll be in touch with you.
All right, Roy. Goodbye.
Bye, honey.
Why, you gentlemen are certainly mistaken. Roy Wood is a fine young man. I wouldn't have rented a room to him unless he was a fine young man.
But he hasn't been home in a week.
I told you he's a fine young man.
Mrs. Porter, You're positive this is his coat?
Well, I can't be positive, but he has one like it.
It wasn't in his room.
Well, if he went away, he must have taken the coat with him.
You say that Roy never brought any friends here?
Never.
You never saw any of his friends?
No. I asked him not to have company, and he didn't. He's a very respectable young man.
Well, what about women? Did you ever see him with any women?
No, I never saw him with any women. But those that he did go out with were very nice girls.
How do you know they were very nice girls?
Well, this last one, she sounded like a very nice young lady over the phone.
You spoke to her?
Of course, several times. I took messages for Roy.
What kind of messages?
Well, this girl, this Helen, she called and left a number 2 or 3 times. She sounded like a very nice girl.
What'd you do with the number?
Well, now, what would I do with the telephone number? I scratched it on the telephone book.
May we see the telephone book, Mrs. Porter?
If you insist, this way.
Thank you.
But Roy Wood is a fine young man. A very fine young man.
Here she is, Lieutenant. Lieutenant Bryan, Helen Denny.
Sit down, Miss Denny.
You have no right to drag me down here to the police station and keep me waiting so long. I think I'm entitled to some explanation.
She says she hasn't seen Roy Wood in a week.
That's true.
Exactly how many times did you see Roy Wood altogether?
I don't know. I didn't stop to count.
You heard from him in the last week?
No, I haven't heard from him.
Where is he now?
I told you I don't know. I don't know.
You know what we want him for?
No,
We think he killed a policeman.
that's not so.
We wish it weren't. Now, the more you try to cover up for him, the more trouble you're going to get yourself into, young lady.
I'm not trying to cover up because there's nothing to cover up.
All right. I know you've been in touch with Roy Wood.
Please.
I know it. Matter of fact, while the sergeant was bringing you down here, a Western Union messenger boy knocked on your door. You didn't know that we have a couple of men watching your house day and night, did you?
I don't know anything.
And that Western Union messenger boy, when there wasn't any answer, he slipped a telegram under your door. Would you like to read it? Here. Go on, open it up, Helen. And you still tell me you haven't been in touch with Roy?
All right. I just don't want to see him hurt. That's all. I don't want to see him hurt.
If you don't want to see him hurt or anybody else, then you'll help us.
How?
He sent you a wire to meet him on the corner of Broadway and Pratt tonight. You will meet him.
Please. Can't you do it some other way? Do you have to get me involved in it?
You said you didn't want to see him hurt. This is the easiest way we can take him. For him, for us, and for you.
But All right. What do you want me to do?
You go home now. You wait until 10 minutes after 8. Then you'll walk out the front door. You'll walk down Pratt Street to Broadway. And you'll stand on the corner in front of the drugstore.
Please, Lieutenant,
You'll stand on the corner in front of the drugstore. We don't know whether he'll drive or take a cab or walk, but we do know for sure he's got a gun on him. We'll be all around there. When Roy Wood shows up, you'll drop your purse.
Drop my purse?
That's the sign to us that it is Roy Wood. I'm warning you, Helen. There'll be our men all around. You don't want to see Roy hurt. He won't get hurt if you carry off your part as you're supposed to.
And now back to Gangbusters.
Well, Gangbusters listeners, at precisely 8:15 that night, the girl Helen waited in front of the drugstore on the busy corner of Broadway and Pratt. The eyes of several teams of detectives were fastened on the approaches to the intersection, waiting for Roy Wood to appear. As the minutes passed, she stood firm, until finally she saw the fugitive crossing the street.
Hello, honey. How are you?
Hello, Roy.
Well, what's the matter? Are you glad to see me?
Yes, I am glad.
Look, I've got a car parked on the block. Let's go, huh?
Roy, listen to me.
Well, come on. We can't stand here all night.
Roy, I don't want to see you hurt.
I won't. Here, I'll pick up your purse.
No, that's all right. I think it's best, Roy. I really do.
You think what's best?
All right, Wood, don't make a move.
Hey, what are you doing?
For police officer.
Let me go, will you?
Hold still there. Uh-huh. Is this the gun you used to kill him?
You turned me in, didn't you, you little
No,
rotten?
Roy. Honest, I didn't. I just didn't want you hurt.
Go on home.
Don't you worry about her, Wood. You just come with us.
That, Gangbusters listeners, was exactly how this killer was taken by detectives of the Baltimore Police Department. He was placed on trial a short time later and convicted of first-degree murder. Roy Wood is now in a death cell at the Maryland State Penitentiary, awaiting hanging.
Thank you, Chief Inspector M. Joseph Wallace, for this insight into how Baltimore police conducted a difficult murder investigation. And congratulations to Captain of Detectives Henry J. Criss and all the officers who participated in the investigation leading to the arrest of this killer. Tonight's case was dramatized by Stanley Niss and directed by William Sweets, with Les Damon and Deli Ellis in leading roles. Roger Foster speaking. Gangbusters is a Phillips H. Lord production.
Proudly we hail. From New York City, where the American stage begins, here is another program with a cast of outstanding plays. Public service time has been made available by this station for your Army and your Air Force to bring you this story, as proudly we hail Rufus Putnam. Our story is entitled The Father of Ohio, a story of Rufus Putnam, who, long before he organized the first permanent settlement in the Buckeye State, had secured a firm place in American history. Our first act curtain will rise in just a moment, but first, today your rapidly expanding United States Army needs intelligent young men with ability and ambition. Men intelligent enough to recognize the vital need for a strong armed force. Men with ability enough to be trained in a necessary job. Men with ambition enough to secure the future for themselves and their loved ones. Does this description fit you? Can you qualify? For full information on how you can fit in with the finest, check with your nearest United States Army and United States Air Force recruiting station now. And now your Army and your Air Force present the proudly we hail production, The Father of Ohio. Sadler's Inn is gone, and the dirt track that was once the road to Boston town is now a great modern highway. The road isn't important except for the fact that it ran smack past the inn. And during that long-gone year of 1748, the inn was well frequented by travelers riding both east and west. And so it was that Captain Sadler's stepson, young Rufus Putnam, had a chance to meet and talk to and get to know a great many folks.
Oh, boy. This Sadler's Inn?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Are you full up, boy?
No, sir. There's room for both you and your horse.
You the stable boy?
That and a lot more besides, sir. Captain Sadler is my stepfather.
Keep you on the run, huh?
Oh, he's very kind to me, sir. I didn't know.
Oh, of course you didn't. Before I left Albany, I was told to keep an eye open for this spot. They also told me there was a young fella here who was learning to read. Do you read?
Yes, sir.
Good. I thought so. Now, before you see to my horse, there's something I brought you. You can keep it overnight.
A book. Robinson Crusoe. Oh, sir, thank you.
I don't know if you can read it all in one night. You see, I must take it with me when I leave tomorrow. A birthday present for my grandson in Boston. What's the matter?
If I read all night, I'll burn a whole candle in.
Oh, I know. Candles are hard to come back. Well, I have an extra one here, in case. Oh, now what's the matter?
Sir, if you'll excuse my question,
Why all this for me?
Well, I know of no other boy in this whole territory with the ambition to teach himself to read. It's important, Blanche. It's important that
Ain't you to bed yet? Did you all put out that candle I told you for, not to waste wax?
I'm almost undressed. I'm just pulling off my boots. Hear that? Just one more to go.
Rufus, what was that? The candle? I can't see the light through the crack. Rufus, did you knock the candle over? I'm coming up.
Yes, sir, I did, but everything's all right now. Nothing caught fire.
Well, we don't know whether Rufus got to finish Robinson Crusoe at that reading, but we do know that Rufus went to live with his sister Huldah and her husband Daniel in North Brookfield. Dan was a millwright, and Rufus became his apprentice, but in between times he read everything he could lay his hands on, from geometry to the Bible.
Ruth, it appears to me it's time we had talk.
What about, Dan?
About you.
What about me?
Well, you're already a full-fledged apprentice millwright. Won't be long before you're a journeyman. I suppose you like being a millwright, but well, you ain't never talked none about what you got in your mind to do.
Dan, you've been both a father and a brother to me, and it just isn't anything I can ever do to repay you and hold up. But, Dan, I'm not going to be a millwright.
No? Well, what are you going to be then?
An engineer.
An engineer? Build bridges, roads, that sort of thing?
That sort of thing, Dan.
You know what I think?
You think I'm crazy?
No, I think you'll make a good engineer.
It took Rufus a few years before he got down to the business of engineering. For just about that time, along came an unpleasant little fracas called the French and Indian War. Rufus was young, he had a keen eye, did middling well with a musket, and his long legs were built for travel. So he joined up. And it wasn't long before his youth, his keen eye, his musket, and his legs were all being put to good use up around Lake Champlain, where some of General Montcalm's Indian allies were out collecting scalps for the glory of New France.
Try to reload as you run, Gabe.
We're just fooling.
And they were as surprised as we were.
How are we going to get back to camp?
Well, that's a circle. Wait, hold up this way. They don't seem to be following.
They ain't like them. They chase everything that moves. Yell like wild dogs.
Check your timing, Gabe.
I think we'd better keep moving fast, Rufus. I've seen at least 6 of the devils.
Look, if you stood on that rock there and you jumped hard, you could catch onto the bottom limb of that big pine. And I got a notion that's what we better do right smartly.
Go up the tree and hide?
Yeah.
I think it'd be a sight more sensible to make tracks.
Wait, listen.
That was from up ahead.
That war party we almost stepped on let us go because they knew we'd run straight into the arms of the whole tribe. Up that tree and quick. It's our only chance.
I ain't never seen that many Indians.
Must have been over 400 of them. Come down from Canada. We gotta get back to the fort quick as we can, Gabe.
With them between us and it? You tell me how.
We'll have to go down the lake.
Well, I'm fair enough in the water, but I ain't no fish. How do you expect to travel 920 miles without a boat?
Gotta build one.
Just like that, eh? What are you figuring on using for tools?
We got our knives.
How long do you expect it to take? About a month.
We'll build a raft. Use logs from fallen trees. Lash them together with vines. Then we'll make a kind of a sail out of our shirts. The wind's blowing down the lake. It'll help us.
Tell me something. You ever build a raft before?
Nope. I want to build me one now. Let's get down out of this tree. We've got to reach the fort ahead of that war party, or the chances are there won't be any fort.
No, that don't beat 'em.
Keep your voice down. Make sure that end log there is glass tight.
Prettiest raft I've ever seen. Roof, you ruined it.
Never mind that now. The light's half gone and we're still here. Hold that steady there.
Wind's rising. That should help.
Oh, we haven't time to do any more. This'll have to do. All right, now let's push her out. You'll have to hold the sail mast. You don't stay up by yourself. I'll steer. When you're tired, we'll switch.
Sailed on a lot of boats in my time, Roof. This one sure takes the King's britches.
Whether Roof's makeshift vessel took the King's britches or not is a moot question, but it did carry him and Gade down Lake Champlain well past the Indian encampment before wind and water broke it up. Its two passengers, swimming to shore, ran a fast 5 miles uphill and down dale before breakfast to warn the fort of unfriendly visitors on the way. As a result of this unorthodox and inspired piece of engineering, the Indians were greeted in a somewhat noisy manner.
I think you ought to get a medal for this.
Keep your head down. You'll get a pine bra.
Hey, listen, Marlowe. Watch me get that one. Good shot. That ain't the one I was aiming at, but it just don't rightly matter. Roof, sure you ain't never took a raft before?
Nope.
Hit anything?
No, don't think so.
I swear, Roof, if you never built a raft before, how did you know how to build that one last time? In the dark, nothing but night.
You hit the limb of that tree down there.
Gun don't shoot very straight. How did you know how to do it, Roof?
Oh, I read a book once about a fellow named Robinson Crusoe. Read some other books, too. They all helped me. I really wanted to be an engineer. Well, I just engineered it. That's all.
Where'd that one go?
I think I hit your limb.
Your gun don't shoot you straight in mine. Hell pays like them red devils that had a belly full anyway. As long as I live, I'll never forget.
When Rufus Putnam got out of the Army, he went back home to Massachusetts and did a remarkable thing. He fell in love. It was a type of engineering he wasn't exactly up on, and like so many others who have come before and after him, the condition made him most articulate.
Yes, Rufus?
That is... well...
is something wrong with it?
Oh, no, nothing at all. Well, I just...
You, just what, Rufus?
Persis? When I asked you... that is, I mean, I want to tell you that... I mean...
You mean you're all mixed up?
Yeah. I mean, no, I'm not mixed up.
If you have something you want to tell me, Rufus, you'd better do so. Pa will be back soon.
Yes, I know. What's so all-fired funny? What's so all-fired funny?
You. Cat got your tongue.
Cat got my tongue, huh? Come here.
Rufus. Oh, Rufus.
Persis, will you marry me?
Of course, Billy.
And so Rufus married his Persis, thus engineering his way into the realm of matrimony, which was blessed in due course with several additional Putnams. Meanwhile, he was establishing a reputation throughout the colony as a builder and planner of everything from roads to dams. Rufus was on his way up, and by the time he reached his 37th year, he was considered a successful and respected member of his community. But then, his community, as all communities in the 13 colonies, were suddenly engulfed in the earth-shaking events of their time. April 1775.
I'll have to go with the others to Boston, Chris.
I know.
I must offer my services. You understand, yeah?
Oh, of course, my dear. Do you think this actually means a war?
I don't know, my dear. Perhaps it can be settled peaceably. Perhaps calmer minds will prevail. But if not, then we're committed to it. And we must continue until we've won.
You are listening to the proudly we-hailed production of The Father of Ohio. We'll return to our story in just a moment. Young man, let's talk about your future and America's future. They're important to each other, you know. Today, your United States Army is charged with a vital responsibility. You need only to glance at your local newspaper to realize how vital. And to meet this responsibility, the Army is rapidly expanding its forces. They have a job for you, a job that must be done by men of courage. You can get full details of how you may best serve your future and your country's future by a visit to your nearest United States Army and United States Air Force recruiting station today. You are listening to Proudly We Hail, and now we present the second act of The Father of Ohio. Rufus Putnam's hope that calmer minds might prevail did not bear fruit. This was not a time of fun. It was a time for action, a time for revolution, a time to throw off old yokes and hold high the new bright torch of liberty. Rufus became a colonel in charge of Washington's budding engineer corps in that ragged bobtail army as it lay siege to Lord Howe's finest in Boston town.
Come in. Colonel Putnam is here to see you.
Now send them right in, Captain.
Yes, sir. Colonel, General Washington will see you now. Thank you.
Sit down, Colonel Putnam. How have you been?
Fine, sir.
Good. I was inspecting Brookline Fort yesterday, and I noticed the improvement you made there. Excellent piece of work.
Thank you, sir.
However, I didn't ask you to come here to talk fortifications. Last night, the cannons we took at Ticonderoga finally got here, 20 of them.
That's good.
Oh, wait till you hear the rest. They arrived without shot. Unfortunately, what shot we do have is too small for their use. So unless we can lay our hands on cannonballs of the correct caliber, these guns and the Herculean effort of dragging them across two colonies will have been for naught.
Well, what size shot do we need, sir?
They're all 20-pounders. Now, if we could put them into service, added to what we already have, I'm convinced we'd see the Britishers evacuating Boston. Now, I know ordnance is not your department, but since you seem to be a master at improvisation...
I'll have to give it some thought, sir. We have no means of manufacturing shot here. I don't think any of the mills to the south make shot that big.
I know that, Colonel. It seems only the redcoats are well supplied with it.
Yeah, sir. They're big frigates. They carry 20-pounders, don't they?
I believe so. You have something in mind?
Well, it just came to me that since they have the cannonballs we need, perhaps we can get them to give us some.
How do you propose to accomplish that, Colonel?
Well, suppose when the Britishers wake up tomorrow morning, they see a brand new force staring at them across Dorchester Flats. Chances are they'd send out one of the big ships with a line to get rid of it. Well, the sand is soft along the flats, and the shot they'd use shouldn't be too badly damaged.
You know, it might work.
I'll give it a try if you say so, sir.
I say so by all means. Rufus' plan worked so well that when the British ship Somerset finally put out to sea, the fort was completely demolished and the sand was littered with hundreds of cannonballs. Second-hand, but almost as good as new. Later, they were returned to the British from the fortifications on Dorchester Heights that Rufus had built. Through the long, hard years of war that followed, Rufus was on hand to build and to fight wherever he was needed. He did a great deal of both, and when it was all over, he was no longer Colonel Putnam, but General Putnam, anxious to get home to his wife and family.
Well, you better tell her, Luke.
Tell me what, Ed?
Oh, there you are, my dear.
Never mind that. What have you got to tell me?
Well, Gabe just informed me that the petition we put into Congress to buy land in Ohio has been approved.
And how does that affect us?
Well, you know, my name was on that petition.
But that doesn't mean you're forced to go.
Well, we want him to head up the first party because I'll be in charge of setting up homes.
I see.
Gabe, maybe you better drop in later.
Sure. Evening, then.
You'd leave us here.
Only until we have things settled.
You've been away so much, Ruth. Can't we settle here?
It's new out there, darling. Brand new. There'll be so much to build, so much to do. And I want to be a part of it, Percy.
I'm being silly. I know you do. I know you should. We'll wait for you. We've waited before, but this time the waiting won't be so bad because we'll know you're coming back to us. Now stop looking so solemn and give me a kiss.
Gentlemen, if our first group of wagons leaves Danvers about December 10th and joins the second group leaving Hartford, Connecticut on New Year's Day, I think we can reach the Ohio lands by April 1st. That is, barring any big blizzards and major accidents en route.
Rufus, will we take the northern route or go by Braddock's Road through Pennsylvania?
Now, the route through Pennsylvania will be the easier. And we may be able to put our wagons and supplies on river rafts to reach the Ohio.
Sounds like a pretty good idea.
I caution you all to bear in mind that the trip will be very difficult. We may meet unfriendly Indians. And we'll not take any women and children this time. Hold those wagons in the rear. All of you men come up front and help us with this one. Any more wagons bogged down in this deep snow, we'll have to make sleds and carry the wheels.
Oh, it's no use, men. All four wheels are down in the snow to the axles. Even the horses can't make much headway fighting this.
All right, hold it. Looks as if we camped here for a day or so, then turn our wagons into sleds. Cargo wagons are carrying enough sled runners for all. We'll make it all right, Dave. I didn't expect the snows to be so deep so soon. At least we're prepared for that. However, it's good to know that those who come after us will find this trail well broken.
Ruth, do you still plan to put everything on boats when we get to the river?
Yes. I found that we're better on the river than going overland and fighting deep snows.
First April tomorrow, Ruth.
We should be on our way by then.
Sure took longer to build these boats than it took to build that raft on Champlain. Huh?
For all we've accomplished, 6 weeks isn't bad.
Yeah, General, this river mist makes us trouble. Hardly see the shore now. How are we going to stay in the channel when we have no idea where it is?
We'll have to take that chance. Every once in a while, you can see the top of a high tree through this low-hanging mist. May tell us something about where we are.
Yeah. Ahoy there! Can you hear me back there? Keep as close to the right bank as you can and still stay in the channel. If you have to beat your boat, take the river bank on the right.
We should be close to our turn-off point, Gabe.
With all this land, fog, and river mist, how can you tell?
Now, listen a minute. Hold, men! Hold your sticks! Hear that?
Hear what?
That music. Must be at Port Harbor. Our turn-off point is just before the port. Men on the right, drag your pole. Men on the left, dig deeper. This is our turn.
Look, current's too strong. We're not turning enough to make it into the mussel. Being carried on past the port.
Well, if we can't turn, I don't think the others can either.
That fog glistens just a little. We're going right on past the fort. Look at them soldiers on the banks. They're waving to us.
Waving to us? Hey, they're not waving, Dave. They're trying to toss ropes to us.
Grab those ropes!
Rufus Putnam and his rafts and flat-bottom boats were stopped and being carried past their goals. As each craft was slowed down and halted, it was turned around with the help of the strong ropes held securely by the soldiers on shore. The expedition landed on the banks of the Muskingum River, where it joins the Ohio on April 8, 1788.
Thank thank you, gentlemen, for your birthday wishes, but there's work to be done. It's birthday present enough for me just being here and knowing that soon we'll have our homes built and our families with us.
General, what are we going to name our settlement?
Well, Colonel, I'd like to name this settlement after a lady. Mm-hmm. A queen. A woman who helped America win its war of independence. If the men don't like the name, we can change it later. But for now, let's call our village Marietta in honor of Marie Antoinette of France.
This is the day the Lord hath made. Let us bow down and worship. And, well, what's the meaning of this?
Reverend, Scout just came in. He says the tribes are up. They're on the warpath.
You men will want to leave. I will see the women and children get safely home.
Bring buckets of clay from the riverbank. You others bring tubs of water. I think we can...
why the clay and water, General?
They can make mud. And if it'll stay on the roof, the flaming arrows won't set fire to our building. We'll work all night long if we have to. Perhaps we won't be attacked, but we'll be ready just in case.
The Indians did not attack that night or any other night, but the village of Marietta and Rufus Putnam were always ready. The threat of Indian war was ever present, until President Washington sent General Anthony Wayne to take charge of the army in the West and prepare for any conflict. At the same time, Washington planned another important job for Putnam.
Come in. Oh, it's you, Gabe.
Bring your letter from President Washington.
From President Washington? What's it say, you?
You have been appointed the first Surveyor General of the United States.
Oh.
Your duties are en route. You will, however, begin surveying the entire Northwest area and so help our country to keep things strong.
You'll be going away again.
It's a very great honor, my dear. But if I'm going to be Surveyor General, I must have a headquarters. Certainly I can't survey the entire Northwest Territory by myself. So I think you'll find me right here in Marietta most of the time.
Do you believe him, Dave?
Nope. But he sure says it right smart.
If anybody was to try and sum up Rufus Putnam's life and all that he accomplished in it, his own favorite quotation from the 5th chapter of Matthew might best do the trick.
Ye are the light of the world. A city that is set on a hill cannot be hidden. Neither do men light a candle and put it under a bushel basket, but on a candlestick, and it giveth light unto all that are in the house. Let your light so shine before men that they may see your good works.
Well, we hope we have shown you a few of the good works of Rufus Putnam, for he was one of many who lent his greatness to the building and heritage of our land. Rufus Putnam, patriot, soldier, builder, planner, whom proudly we hail. Here's a special message for the young men of our country. The United States Army, the senior service of our armed forces, is expanding rapidly and needs your help. By enlisting in the United States Army, you'll not only get the finest training in the world, but you'll have the special pride that goes with wearing a United States Army uniform. Why not get full details today? Visit your local United States Army and United States Air Force recruiting stations. Enlist now. This has been another program on Proudly We Hail, presented transcribed in cooperation with this station. Proudly We Hail is produced by the Recruiting Publicity Bureau for the United States Army and United States Air Force Recruiting Service. This is Kenneth Banghart speaking and inviting you to tune in the same station next week for another interesting story on proudly we hail.
Brings you Basil Rathbone and Nigel Bruce in the new adventures of Sherlock Holmes. The Petrie family, the family that took time to bring you good wine, invites you to listen to Dr. Watson tell us another exciting adventure he shared with his old friend, that master detective, Sherlock Holmes. And I'd like to ask you a short, simple question. Have you ever tried a glass of sherry before dinner? If you haven't, you'll never know what you're missing till you do. And make that sherry Petrie California sherry. Because Petrie sherry is the best beginning a good meal ever had. Just hold a glass of Petrie sherry to the light. Look at its wonderful, clear amber color. Now just get a whiff of that aroma. Bouquet, the experts call it. I'm telling you can just smell those big, luscious grapes. Now, best of all, taste your Petrie sherry. Sip it. Sip it slowly so you don't miss one single drop of this truly delicious wine. Yes, without a doubt, Petrie sherry is good wine. Oh, and incidentally, Petrie makes two kinds of sherry. Regular sherry and Petrie pale dry. Both are fine. And if you're not sure which you might like best, do what I do. Don't buy one, buy two. Try them both. And serve them proudly because the name Petrie is the proudest name in the history of American wines. And now I'm sure our good friend and host, Dr. Watson, is waiting, so let's go in and join him. Good evening, Doctor.
Good evening, Mr. Bartell. Here. Down, Monty. Down there.
Dogs seem very chipper tonight.
Yes, tonight, yes, but they've been in disgrace most of the day, Mr. Bartell.
Oh? What have they been up to? After the seals again, Doctor?
No, my boy, this time it was chickens. They got into my neighbor's coop and had a delightful time. Fortunately, there were no casualties, but I'm afraid that my good neighbor policy has suffered a slight diplomatic strain. But you come here to listen to Sherlock Holmes' adventures, not those of my dog, so draw up your usual chair and make yourself comfortable, and I'll get on with tonight's story.
Last week, Doctor, you told us it was a case in which Sherlock Holmes found the solution without ever meeting any of the suspects.
That's quite correct, Mr. Bartell. As remarkable as an exhibition of long-distance detection as I ever recall. But judge the story for yourself, my boy. It was in the autumn of 1903, and Sherlock Holmes was about to retire to his bee farm on the Sussex Downs. I must confess, Mr. Bartell, that my heart was heavy during those last few weeks we spent at Baker Street. I thought of the countless adventures that we'd shared together. I remembered those many evenings of quiet comradeship and companionship. A fire blazing away on the hearth as Holmes lay back in the shadows playing his beloved violin. And then, Mr. Bartell, as so often happened, there'd be a violent jangle on our doorbell, and some wretched soul in misery would be standing before us and pouring out his troubles. Suddenly the violin would be discarded, and Holmes the dreamer would become Holmes the man of action. Come, Watson, the game's afoot, he'd say. And in a few moments later, we'd be rattling off in a cab through the foggy, gaslit London streets.
Yes, Doctor, I can imagine it was pretty hard for you to leave Baker Street.
It was, Mr. Bartell. However, as it transpired, there was one more adventure awaiting us before we left. A few days before the actual move, I persuaded Holmes to take an afternoon off from his packing and accompany me on a visit to the laboratory of an old friend of mine, a Professor Jean Boulin. He was an eminent French scientist engaged in very important work at the London University. Oh, by the way, this was at a period, Mr. Bartell, when radium
was something extremely new and extremely rare. The university had just acquired a minute but invaluable portion of the element, and Professor Boulin was in charge of the research connected with it. I can remember the picture so well, as Holmes stood in the laboratory, talking with keen interest of the distinguished scientist.
Amazing, Professor Boulin. Quite amazing. Think that this tiny leaden vessel contains one of the most precious substances in the world.
Yes, Mr. Holmes. We have a great deal to thank Madame Curie for. This new element may force us entirely to revise our concepts of all physical structure.
Your research is a great responsibility, Boulin.
It is, Watson. I must confess that I wish the authorities here would give me a freer hand. I foresee such infinite possibilities in the use, particularly the medical use of radium. But my conservative superiors seem to regard it only as a toy, a scientific curiosity.
Limit your experiments accordingly, I suppose.
Exactly. I'm given no opportunity to do anything that's in the least radical.
Must be very disheartening. How can research ever get anywhere along those lines?
It is a great misfortune, Holmes, that you've determined to retire to your bee farm. This project we could use such an analytical mind as yours.
You flatter me, Professor.
How many assistants do you have working with you, Boulin?
3, but none of them are very inspired, I'm afraid.
What?
My best assistant is a man named Barker. He's a little on the conservative side, too. But he is extremely adroit. The other 2, a young man called Taylor and the girl Gladys Hughes. They mean well. But gauche, I fear, is the only word to describe them.
Why do you laugh?
I was just amused to observe that in describing my assistants, I chanced to be literal as well as figurative. It's odd that random symbolism can sometime... but never mind that. You would like to see the rest of the laboratory?
Yes, indeed we would.
Thank you very much.
I have some extraordinarily interesting photographic plates that record the emanations of radium. They're over here. I think you will find them most fascinating.
Baker Street, particularly when our rooms are full of packing cases, seems rather drab after the scientific stimulations of Professor Boulin's laboratory, doesn't it, old chap?
Yes, it seemed drab even if we hadn't been to see him. I feel frightfully depressed, Holmes. I just don't know what I'm going to do without you.
Oh, you're still a young man, Watson, and a susceptible one. You'll marry again.
No, I won't.
Yes, you will, old chap. And you'll end up by being glad that your old roommate, your difficult, rather unsociable old roommate, is living in retirement on the Sussex Downs.
Rubbish. I shan't feel anything of the kind. In any case, I don't think you'll be able to stay in retirement for long. Your mind is much too alert to be satisfied by being a sort of midwife to a bunch of beastly bees.
Oh, dear Watson. I feel that you'll never eat honey again.
Yes, you can laugh, Holmes, but I could see how excited you were when Boulin suggested that you might help him with his radium experiments.
Flattering suggestion, I must admit, my dear fellow. Just the same, who the devil's that?
From the urgency of the tug on the bell pull, I'd say that it was a client.
And go and head him off, will you, old chap?
Yes, I'll do my best.
Oh, Watson, explain that I'm no longer in practice.
Too late, Holmes. He's brushed past Mrs. Hudson. Here he comes rushing up the stairs.
Oh, confound it.
I beg your pardon, sir.
You Mr. Sherlock Holmes?
No, I am not Sherlock.
Then you must be Mr. Holmes.
That is my name, sir. But may I ask what accounts for your rather whirlwind entrance? My housekeeper, Mrs. Hudson...
I haven't any time to consider etiquette. My sister Gladys Hughes has vanished. Vanished into thin air. You've got to find her for me, Mr. Holmes. I'll pay you any fee you name, but you've got to find her.
Mr. Hughes, I'm extremely sorry that your sister has vanished, but I'm afraid that I can do nothing to help you. I'm retiring. I'm giving up my practice.
If you won't help me, I'll go to someone who will.
That's exactly what I mean, sir. I suggest that you go to the police, or if you insist on a private investigator, I can strongly recommend Mr. Martin Hewitt. Yes. His address is 39 Pont Street, Knightsbridge.
Good day to you.
Good day, Mr. Hughes.
36 Pont Street, Knightsbridge. Mr. Martin.
Yes, I can understand his concern, but his manners leave a great deal to be desired.
Holmes. Gladys Hughes, his missing sister. That was the name of one of Professor Boulin's assistants, wasn't it?
True, old fellow, but it's probably only a coincidence.
What?
Both Christian and surnames are extremely common ones.
Well, I have a feeling that it may not be a coincidence.
Oh, come now, my dear fellow. Don't you try and embroil me in a fresh adventure. I've retired and I'm leaving for Sussex in a few days. And if any more clients come wrenching at my doorbell, I shall ignore them.
But, Mr. Holmes, you've got to help me. My son, Jeffrey Barker, has disappeared.
I'm sorry, Mrs. Barker, but I'm afraid I'm...
Holmes, Jeffrey Barker was the name of Professor Boulin's chief assistant.
Watson, please believe me when I say that I'm not to be inveigled into any further... Mrs. Taylor, I'm sorry, but I can't help you.
Oh, but Mr. Holmes, it's my husband. He's disappeared. We've only been married 3 months, and now... Oh, it's terrible. I've been so worried ever since he started to work on that strange new radium with Professor Jean Ballon.
Holmes, you can't pretend it's coincidence any longer. Gladys Hughes, Jeffrey Barker, and now Taylor. The 3 assistants of Professor Boulin.
I know it, Watson. Mrs. Taylor, the moving van will be here tomorrow to take my things to Sussex. I shall follow them immediately. I have retired, madam. Do you understand that? Retired.
Yes, another telegram for you, Holmes.
That'll be the 4th today. Why won't Scotland Yard leave me alone?
Well, it's a pretty strange business. 3 people engaged in research of this new element, radium, have all disappeared within 48 hours. Scotland Yard needs your help.
Let them earn their salaries, my dear Watson. I've helped them for the last time. Well, let's see how they've couched their latest effusion. Oh, this isn't from Scotland Yard. It's from my brother, Mycroft.
Mycroft? What's he going to say?
Listen to this. Now Professor Boulin has disappeared.
Great Scott.
And the radium with him. Surely the pattern is obvious, Sherlock. Radium must be found, could solve the problem for you, but I'm too lazy. Consider what a flashy case for you to retire on. Regards, Mycroft. The old devil.
Holmes, this is shocking. My old friend Boulin has disappeared.
Yes, Watson, and now my brother asks me to investigate. The pressure becomes irresistible. Very well. I bow to fate and postpone my retirement for a few hours.
Good man, Holmes. You know you'll never really retire.
Yes, Mycroft says there's an obvious pattern in this case. Our first step, of course, will be to interview all the doctors who treat patients without charge.
Why?
Well, surely that's obvious.
Well, it isn't at all obvious to you. I don't know why you always leave me in the dark.
Well, what makes you laugh?
Being left in the dark. It's just like the old times, isn't it, Holmes? Come on, old fellow, let's go. The game's afoot. Dr. MacDonald, this is Mr. Sherlock Holmes.
Mr. Sherlock Holmes. I'm very glad to meet you.
And are you, Dr. MacDonald?
I swear that I've never been in as many doctors' offices as I have today. But Mr. Holmes is in search of some information. Perhaps, Doctor, you can help him.
I'll do my best. What do you want to know, Mr. Holmes?
Whether you have any charity patients with skin eruptions or growths of any kind. I mean, patients that have not kept their appointments recently, perhaps.
Now, let me see. Why, yes, I do. Old Mrs. Pendle. She has a very bad case of lupus. She was due for a treatment here yesterday, and I've seen nothing of her.
Splendid. Can you give me her address?
Well, certainly. It's in my book here.
Well, I hope this isn't a false trail, Holmes.
You can only explore it and see, dear chap.
Here we are. Mrs. Pendle, 36 Elm Gardens, Clapham.
Mrs. Pendle, 36 Elm Gardens, Clapham. Thank you, Doctor. I'm greatly obliged to you. Getting restless, Watson?
Yes, I am a little. We've been waiting outside Mrs. Pendle's house for over an hour. Why don't we knock on the door and see if she's at home?
Oh, no, my dear chap. We mustn't frighten her. I hope that she's going to lead us to our quarry. You see...
Shh. Front door's opening. A woman's coming out.
Yes, it's Mrs. Pendle, beyond doubt. Look at that bandage around the upper part of her face.
Yeah. Hello, she's turning down the street. We're going to follow her, I suppose.
Naturally, but let's give her a start, shall we? We don't want her to spot us.
Well, while we're waiting, perhaps you'll clear up 1 or 2 points for me. I'm still very much in the dark.
With pleasure, old chap. What puzzles you?
Well, one of the things that
Come on. What? We've given her enough of a start. Let's follow her.
Oh, very well. But look here, Holmes. You asked me what I didn't understand. 2 things puzzle me. What did Mycroft mean by the pattern of the case? Why are we following a poor sick old lady through the London streets?
I'll answer the first question, and I think the answer to the second will be self-apparent. The pattern of the case is clear. Professor Boulin and his 3 assistants have vanished together with the radium, but their disappearances were not simultaneous. Had they been so, it would have been a transparent case of theft. But with the disappearances gradual rather than simultaneous, the emphasis has been subtly shifted.
Yes, I can see that, Holmes, but What do you suppose is at the back of the whole business? Can't be a simple case of theft. Radium is enormously valuable, but it'd be hard stuff to sell again.
Not to an unscrupulous criminal with a knowledge of medicine, Watson. My own theory, and I admit at the moment that it's purely a theory, is that Professor Boulin was worried because he was so hampered in his research. You'll remember that he stressed his great faith in the medical values of the new element, radium.
Yes, he did.
It's more than possible that he places the rights of science above the rights of property, that he's determined that he and his group will carry on their invaluable research unhampered by the conservative restraints of the university.
I see what you mean, Holmes, but how does Mrs. Pendle, the poor woman that we're following, enter the picture?
Because one of the chief lines of radium research on the continent so far has been with her sort of trouble. Professor Boulin's obvious move, if my theory is correct, would be to contact poverty-stricken patients, promise them relief, induce them to abandon their regular treatments, and submit to him.
By Jove, yes, Holmes, that seems perfectly logical, and yet I can't believe that Boulin would...
Mrs. Pendleton has reached her destination. She's turned down a driveway.
Yes, she's walking up to what looks like a deserted warehouse.
Hurry, old chap. Don't let her out of our sight.
She's opened the door without knocking. She's gone in.
We'll wait here for a moment or two, then we'll follow her. I have a feeling that your old friend, Professor Boulin, is not far away, Watson.
Yes, you're probably right. But I hope we can do something to protect him from the consequences of what he's done. It might easily mean the finish of a brilliant career.
I'll do everything in my power, but you know as well as I do...
Shh, look. Mrs. Pendle's coming out again.
Yes, and she's in trouble. Come on. Mrs. Pendle, what's wrong?
I don't know how you know my name or who you be, but you asked me what's wrong. They tell me to come here to this address, and I find a doctor who'd help my face. I comes here, and what do I find?
What did you find, madam?
A corpse, sir. That's what I find. A dead man lying there in a great pool of his own blood.
You'll hear the rest of Dr. Watson's story in just a second. So I'm just going to remind you that there's one wine which everyone likes and which is good on any occasion. Petri California Sherry. You want a swell wine to serve before dinner? The perfect answer is Petri Sherry. If you want a wine that's delicious after dinner, or later in the evening when you're just talking things over with your friends, again you want Petri Sherry. And if you want a wonderful wine to serve at cocktail time, naturally you want Petri Sherry. Sherry is a wine that's good at any time. And Petri, well, Petri is the wine that's good all the time. Well, Dr. Watson, so following the tracks of old Mrs. Pendle led you to a corpse, huh?
Yes, Mr. Bartell. Of course, Sherlock Holmes and I went at once into the broken-down warehouse to examine the scene of the tragedy. Slumped over a desk in a darkened, shabby room, a flickering candle giving a macabre lighting to the scene, was the body of a man. I think I knew its identity even before Holmes turned to me and said...
It's Professor Boulin. All right, Watson.
Poor devil. Murdered, of course.
Yes, but examine him for yourself, will you?
Yes. Yes, there's no doubt about it. This wound couldn't have been self-inflicted. The right auricle of the heart has been pierced.
How long ago would you estimate death took place?
Not more than a couple of hours ago, I should say.
Not hard to reconstruct the killing. The murderer came up from behind Boulin as he sat here, crooked an arm around his throat. Yes. See the finger marks on the right-hand side of the neck? Here? Then stabbed him in the chest.
And then withdrew the weapon and disappeared.
Leaving no traces, confound it. A dusty room is an ideal place for recording footprints, but there are half a dozen different prints here, including Mrs. Pendle's. Hello. There's the print of a smaller woman's shoe.
Well, it must be that of Gladys Hughes, his assistant.
Undoubtedly. But that really proves nothing except that she was here with him. In fact, that we were convinced of anyway. Question is... Come on. Let's go outside and talk to Mrs. Pendle again.
Poor old Boulin. What a shocking way to die.
And what a great loss to science.
I suppose the murderer must have stolen the radium. We found no trace of it in there.
Undoubtedly, the possession of the radium was the motive for the murder. Mrs. Pendle.
The poor man is dead, ain't he, sir?
I'm afraid so, madam.
I knew it. I never should have come here. I never should have left Dr. MacDonald.
Mrs. Pendle, let me ask you a question.
I can't be answering no questions, sir. I don't know nothing about how the poor soul got himself murdered. What would a poor woman like me know about such things?
No, my good woman. My friend isn't suggesting at all that you know anything about the murder.
Then what do you want to know, sir?
Who told you to come to this address today, Mrs. Pendle?
A young lady. Nice young lady she was, too. She met me coming out of Dr. MacDonald's yesterday and told me that if I come here today, I'd find a doctor who could cure me.
That was obviously Miss Hughes. Holmes, I believe that your theory was right.
Come on, Mrs. Pendle. We'll escort you to the nearest police station where you can report the murder.
Yes, sir.
And then, Watson, we must keep on the track of the radium. That, perhaps, is more important than any life.
Well, how are we going to do that? We haven't a clue to go on.
Remember that Professor Boulin's 3 assistants are still missing. We must go to the homes of each of them and see what can be found out. Mr. Hughes, you must realize by now that your sister's disappearance is part of something vastly more significant than you think. I must ask you in the
My sister didn't disappear.
What do you mean, sir? You came to us and said that you had.
Oh, it was all a mistake, gentlemen. She came back today. She'd just been down to the seaside for a short rest, and she'd forgotten to let me know. I'm sorry to have bothered you.
May I see your sister at once, please?
I'm sorry, Mr. Holmes, but she's out just now. I don't know where she's gone or what time she'll be back.
Mrs. Barker, I've come to you about your son's disappearance. I'm afraid that...
Oh, but my son didn't disappear, Mr. Holmes. It was all a misunderstanding. He came home today.
Then may we speak to him, please, Mrs. Barker?
Oh, I'm afraid that's impossible. You see, he...
Mrs. Taylor, I want to talk to you about your husband's disappearance.
Oh, that. He came home this afternoon, Mr. Holmes. At first I was so suspicious, but when he explained, well, I'm sure you know how it is in the first few months of marriage. Those little tears.
Confound it, Watson. We are no nearer the solution.
And meanwhile, here we are back in Baker Street to find that the moving van has taken all your things off to Sussex. Perhaps you should give up the case, Holmes, and follow them.
Close my career on a note of failure? No, my dear fellow. I shall not leave London until this problem is solved.
Oh, in that case, I'll sit down. Looks to me as if it may prove a lengthy wait.
I've rarely felt more frustrated, Watson. All 3 vanished technicians home safely with plausible stories, or at least plausible alibis, and poor Boulin murdered, the radium stolen.
Well, I must say it makes no sense to me.
Well, it must make sense. The pattern was well enough to find in the beginning. It's just a question of finding the right key. In a way, it's clear enough what's happened. One of the 3 assistants, placing the financial value of radium above its value to science, murdered Boulin to obtain the prize. The other 2, fearing that their complicity in the original plot would involve them as accomplices in murder, ran home and established an alibi.
And the murderer did the same thing, for it's obvious one of the 3 must be the killer and the thief.
Yes, the question is, which one of the 3 is the culprit?
If only poor Boulin were alive, he could help us.
My dear chap, if Boulin were alive, there would be no murderer.
Oh, of course it wouldn't.
Now, let's see. Boulin gave us a few bare facts about his 3 assistants. I wonder... But of course, Watson! I have the answer. The case is solved.
What do you mean, Holmes? That cannot be solved. You haven't done enough investigation. If it comes to that, you haven't even seen any of your 3 suspects.
That isn't necessary.
Oh, you know who did it?
Yes, Watson, and so should you.
But we know nothing to set them apart from each other, except that one of them's a girl.
We know more than that, my dear fellow. Think hard.
Well, Boulin told us that Geoffrey Barker was an excellent technician, while the other 2 were somewhat clumsy.
We know even more than that.
Well, I'm just if I know what, Holmes.
I shan't even need to stay in London and follow the case through to its logical conclusion. A telegraph to Mycroft and another to Scotland Yard to take care of it, yes. And I can be in Sussex before the moving van, after all.
You mean you're going now before the case is solved?
But it is solved, my dear fellow. All that remains to be done is some purely routine work. What's the time?
Look, it's just 3 o'clock.
Splendid. If we hurry, we can catch the 3:45 express from Waterloo.
We?
Yes, I was counting on you spending a few days down there with me, old chap. I hope you can spare the time. I should hate to make so drastic a change without my good old friend Watson at my side.
Oh, of course. I'll be delighted, but
what, my dear boy?
The case of the disappearing scientist.
Wait until we get to Sussex, shall we? As soon as I get an answer to my telegrams, I'll explain the whole thing to you. And now let's hurry, shall we? Our train leaves in 40 minutes. More tea, Watson?
Thanks, old boy.
Peaceful down here, isn't it?
Extremely. At the moment, I must confess, I find it rather nerve-wracking.
Oh, why?
You know why, Holmes. I want you to open that telegram and tell me if your solution to the Woolin case was the correct one.
Very well, my dear chap. Let's see. What is it? It's from Mycroft. Listen. Murderer arrested and radium recovered. Well done, Sherlock, though you took longer than I expected. Regards, Mycroft.
Congratulations, Holmes. And now perhaps you'll condescend to tell me how you solved it.
Don't be angry with me, old chap. I only wanted to make sure that my solution was correct. You remember the nature of the fatal wound on Boulin's body?
Of course. He'd been stabbed through the right auricle of the heart.
From behind. Proving that the murderer was clearly right-handed.
Oh, what does that signify? Almost everybody's right-handed.
Oh, no, not in this case. If you recall, Professor Boulin said that Geoffrey Barker was adroit, while his other two assistants were gauche. Then he laughed because he said his remark was true both literally and figuratively.
I still don't see what you're talking about.
Oh, come now, Watson, come. Think of the origin of the word adroit. Ardois. Droit is the French word for right.
And gauche is the word for left.
Meaning the two gauche assistants were left-handed, and therefore only the adroit, the right-handed Barker, could have inflicted the fatal wound.
I see it now, Holmes. You know, if you'd remembered that mark of Boulin's at the time we found his body, you could have solved the case much sooner.
That's true, old fellow, very true. And when my old friend Watson points out that my memory is failing and my mind sluggish, then I know that my retirement has been postponed for far too long.
Well, so Holmes really went through with his idea of becoming a bee farmer.
Yes, of course. It became one of his favorite hobbies. Do you know anything about the raising of bees?
Oh, nothing at all. The only connection I've ever had with bees was very remote. Once I had the hives.
Once you had the... Oh, no, Mr. Barker.
Oh, yes, Dr. Watson. But seriously, I do know one thing about bees. Even when you know all about them, you're apt to get stung.
That's true enough.
So I'll make my hobby Petri wine. You know, you can't miss when you buy Petri wine, because Petri wine is always good wine. The Petri family has been making fine wine for generations. In fact, they started way back in the 1800s. And they've handed on down from father to son, the knowledge and experience absolutely essential to the making of truly fine wine. And since the making of Petri wine is a family affair, you can be sure that the name Petri means something on a bottle of wine. Those letters P-E-T-R-I are more than a trademark. They're the personal assurance of the Petri family that every drop of Petri wine is good wine. So when you buy wine of any type, you can put your faith in the Petri label, because Petri took time to bring you good wine. Well, Dr. Watson, what new Sherlock Holmes story are you going to tell us next week?
Well, now, let me see. Next week, Mr. Bartell, I'm going to tell you about one of the weirdest adventures that Holmes and I ever had. It concerns a haunted chapel in the wilds of Cornwall, strange organ music that played at midnight, and the headless ghost of a murdered monk.
Tonight's Sherlock Holmes adventure was written by Dennis Green and Anthony Boucher and was suggested by an incident in Sir Arthur Conan Doyle's story, The Reigate Puzzle. Music is by Dean Postler. Mr. Rathbone appears through the courtesy of Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer, and Mr. Bruce through the courtesy of Universal Pictures, where they are now starring in the Sherlock Holmes series. The Petri Wine Company of San Francisco, California, invites you to tune in again next week, same time, same station. Sherlock Holmes comes to you from our Hollywood studios. This is Harry Bartell saying good night for the Petri family.